A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. John Hodiak in tonight's presentation of Suspense. Tonight, Autolite presents a story based on fact as we recreate the excitement and violence of a fire in an oil field. The story is called Hellfire. Our star, Mr. John Hodiak. Hey, Hap, what's the busiest thing you know?
My telephone, Harlow. My wife's always on.
Well, your car's electrical system is much busier than that, Hap. Why, it goes to work the instant you press the starter and continues every second your engine runs. It works every time you blow the horn, turn on the lights, radio heater, and electric windshield wipers, to mention just a few.
Does everything but talk, eh, Harlow?
Right, Hap. And if that electrical system could talk, it would tell you that a checkup of your car's electrical system at periodic intervals is just good business.
You mean it pays in smooth, economical performance?
It sure does, Hap. So, friends, treat the important electrical system of your car to a periodic checkup soon. And be ready for those cold driving days ahead. See your car dealer or your nearest authorized Autolite service station. You can quickly locate your nearest authorized Autolite service station in the classified section of the phone book under Automobile Electrical Service. Or call Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite. And now, Autolite presents transcribed Hellfire, starring Mr. John Hodiak, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
Oil hunters are like farmers and fishermen. They all try to harvest a crop. The main difference between them is that the oil hunter has to find his crop before he can harvest it. Finding a nickel glass of beer in a free lunch counter is a lot easier than finding oil in untested territory. I know. I've been looking for it for a long time. Hear that? That's Betsy, my drilling rig. He's scrounging around on the ground again looking for a crop we can harvest. I say again because this is the 8th time we've tried this session, and so far no dice. And there are 7 dry holes in this immediate area to mark my failures. I feel pretty bad about it. But not nearly as bad as the rest of the stockholders. No, sir, not nearly as bad.
The stockholders are getting impatient, Drake. The way you talked about this field, they felt you would have something for them long before now.
Tell them I'm sorry.
That isn't enough. According to the brochure you made up for them, this was supposed to be a sure thing.
There's no such thing as a sure thing when you're looking for oil. The brochure said conditions out here were most favorable for oil. You saw the results of the test yourself. If ever a series of tests showed possibility for oil, those did.
Huh. I brought along a man on the trip down here that I'd like you to meet.
Who is he?
His name is Hotchkiss, petroleum engineer.
Oh.
And an expert on costs.
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Hotchkiss, over here. Mr. Hotchkiss, Mr. Drake.
How do you do?
How are you? Well, find anything?
It seems to me this is a very efficient operation, Mr. Drake.
Oh, I could.
However, there are several aspects to be considered which might stamp you as a supreme optimist.
You mean the storage tanks?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about that.
Yes, I think you'd better.
Why don't we go back to the office?
Mr. McLean?
Yes, let's go back. I'm rather anxious to hear what Mr. Drake has to say.
Wally! You, Wally! Sorry to bust in like this, Wally.
What's the matter?
Busted the roller bit off. It's stuck in the casing.
I'll be with you in a minute. Sorry, gentlemen. We'll have to postpone this meeting till tomorrow morning. I don't know how long this will take.
A most convenient break, wasn't it?
One more snide remark out of you, and I'll shove you down the casing right after the bit.
Now, Drake, I'm sure Mr. McLean meant no harm. What time do you want us in your office?
Be here around 8 a.m. I think everything will be straightened out by then.
Yes, it is.
So long. See you later. Come on, Smiley. Let's get to work.
More coffee, Wally?
No, thanks, honey. Got to get to the field. McLean and his watchdog will be there at 8.
How does it look? I mean, do you still think there's oil?
I don't think there's oil. I know it. I won't get another chance to find it if I miss this time.
But you're the best wildcatter in the business. You won't have any trouble getting enough money to try again.
People don't like guys who go around spending their money on hunches. And that's what I did this time. McLean's got questions I can't answer.
What are you going to do?
What can I do? Tell him the truth. Maybe he'll see it my way, and maybe he won't. You've got any money to bet that he won't. It's a sure thing. I gotta go now.
Okay if I drive out to the field this afternoon?
Yeah, sure. I'll be at the shack. If McLean hasn't booted me out by then.
Don't talk like that, Wally. I don't like it.
Oh, you're a good wife, honey.
I'd have to be to stay married to you. Now, you get on out to the field and tell that McLean a thing or two.
That I will, Dottie. That I will. Well, are you satisfied?
Yes, Drake. All except the particular expenditures Mr. Hotchkiss pointed out.
Come over here, Mr. Hotchkiss. I want to show you something.
Very well.
Know what this is?
Yes, it's a contour map of an enterprise.
Right. And we're sitting on top of it.
Then why are you so concerned with the inquiry Mr. McLean and I are making?
Because I have no proof of it. Proof means oil. And until I strike oil, you'll just have to go along with me, that's all.
We don't have to do anything, Mr. Drake. You are the one who has to do something, it seems to me.
Now, you listen to me. As long as I'm running this operation, I don't have to do any explaining or answering to anybody. Anytime you think you can get somebody to do the job better, you just buy me out. I happen to own a pretty good chunk of stock, too.
I know that. The block of stockholders I represent have the votes necessary.
Hey, Wally! We're in. We just hit the oil stand.
Good.
The mud's holding back the pressure now.
Get the control head set to go and drag up the tubing. I'll be with you in a couple of minutes.
Yes, sir, Wally.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead.
Where do I go to buy stock in this outfit?
The next few days were a whirl of activity. We snubbed the tubing into the casing without losing a single drop of oil. After a close check of casing head pressures, we figured we had a major find. Almost 10,000 barrels a day was the potential. After we got the tubing set, we got the Christmas tree fastened. This gadget controls the flow of oil through a system of valves that lead to storage tanks, meters, gas traps, all the places oil goes to when it leaves the well. McLean and Hotchkiss took the first train back to town. I don't think they said more than a dozen words to each other up until train time. Finally, it was finished, or just about. All it remained to do was start the oil flowing out of the tubing through the Christmas tree into the tanks.
Hi.
Hi.
Thought you'd be out at the rig cheering when they turned the valve.
I have a few reports to make out to the stockholders.
What's the matter, Wally? Aren't you happy?
Oh, I'm happy enough, Dottie. I'm just so tired I can't hardly stand up. Tired of being sweaty and dirty. As soon as I finish these, I'm going home and take a cold shower, and then I'm going to bed for about a week.
Did anybody ever tell you you're a wonderful man?
Smiley said so.
What?
Yeah, I bought him a drink this afternoon. He told me I was wonderful.
Well, at least you haven't lost your sense of humor.
Do you feel any different?
Why, should I?
Well, you're married to a wealthy man now.
Oh, I don't see anything.
Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Trouble! Holy fire! The well's on fire!
Wally! Wally, don't go! Wally!
She blew. Big Steve was turning the valves on. She went right up in his face. We couldn't get near him.
Smiley, run to the shack. Put in a long-distance call to Larry Burnett in Tulsa. Tell him we want him to come down here and put out an oil fire. And tell him the name is Price.
Right, Wally.
Then tell Dottie to contact McLean. Tell him what happened. She knows the number. And tell her to tell McLean to hustle on down here.
Okay.
Carl, Whitey, Big Pete, come here. You, Whitey, get a team together and start putting up a dirt barricade around the derrick. Make it about 75 feet square and about 5 feet high. When the valve inserts in that Christmas tree go, there'll be a fire shooting all over the place.
Okay.
Carl, you go with us. Now, what about the shut-off valves at the tanks, Pete?
All off. Fire started before Steve opened up.
Check them anyway.
Right, Wally.
Delaney, take some men and get over to the storehouse where they got some tarps. Take the tarp.
Wally.
Over here, Smiley.
Wally, I called Burnett like you told me to.
When's he coming?
He ain't. What? He left for Arabia yesterday. They got a fire there. They don't know when he'll be back. Maybe a month. But if the fire eats into the underground pool like it did in Romania in 29, it may be 6 months.
Okay, then, come on.
Well, where are we going?
To the shack. I got a few telephone calls to make.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going to put the fire out myself.
But you can't do that, Wally.
Why not?
Well, what do you know about putting out oil fires?
I've seen him do it. I know the oil business. What more do you want?
Oh, what about equipment?
That's what I'm going to make the phone calls for.
I just spoke to McLean. He's flying down here.
Good.
What are you going to do? Burnett can't come.
I'm going to do it myself.
But you can.
That's what I told him. He can't do it.
I say I can, and I'm going to. This is Wally. Get me Fred Stone at the Foster Oil Company in Hobbs, New Mexico. And make it quick.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. John Hodiak in Hellfire, tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Hap, name something more complex than a fine watch.
Why, 2 fine watches, Harlow.
Well, I'm thinking of the electrical system of your Autolite-equipped car. Every unit is precision-built by Autolite to operate with every other unit as a perfect team, to give you the smoothest performance money can buy.
You mean units like the Autolite starting motor, generator, distributor, coil, spark plugs, voltage regulator, and battery. Hey, Harlow?
Yes, sir, Hap. And just as one misfit part in your watch can gum up the works, so can one wrong part in the electrical system result in poor car performance.
And what does all this mean to me, Harlow?
It means, Hap, that you should always specify Autolite original service parts for your Autolite-equipped car. Insist on the best for your car, and be sure of the best in performance, because from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. John Hodiak in Elliot Lewis's production of Hellfire, a dramatic report well calculated to keep you in suspense.
When I told Smiley and Dottie I was going to put out my oil fire, I meant it. Only trouble was I wasn't sure I could do it. Oh, I'd seen Burnett snuff him out, but that was his business, and he was the best in his business. Me, I was Wally Drake, sort of a high-class roughneck in the business of looking for oil. There's something about seeing the results of your sweat go up in thick, black, greasy smoke that makes you think an all-out effort can kind of compensate for a lack of experience. I put in a call for some of the things I knew I was going to need. Asbestos equipment, high-pressure pumps and hoses to spray me and keep me from being roasted alive while I was working in there, and some dynamite to use when everything else was set. After I finished my call, Smiley and I went out to look at the fire.
I still say you're crazy, Wally.
No, I'm not. I just don't want to see all my oil burn up while we wait for Burnett to get back from Arabia.
But we might be able to do it another way.
What other way?
We could set up another rig about 300 yards from here, spud in. And with the right figuring, we could whip stock right into this casing and cut the flow of oil.
And how long do you think that would take?
Oh, it depends on what angle we want to intersect the casing.
Can't do it, Smiley. The tolerances would be too critical.
Well, what about digging a tunnel? We could start about 100 yards.
No, I'm not going to take a chance with anyone's life but mine.
You'd let Burnett take a chance, wouldn't you?
That's what he gets paid for. Now, Smiley, we'll do it just like I said, with me taking the chance.
Okay, Wally, but let me help.
All right. You're going to handle the water to spray me down.
Yeah, okay.
First, we got to bust old Betsy up.
Break up the derrick? Why?
Take a look at it. Most of the lower part is white hot now. If I get the fire out without getting rid of that white hot steel, the fire would start again as soon as the gas hit it.
Well, how are you going to do it? Push it over?
In a way, yeah. I'm going to set 2 dynamite charges against the base of it and blow it over.
But how do you know which way it'll fall?
I don't. I'm not an expert.
But it might fall.
Yes, it might.
Well, once the rig is down, then
Hey, Wally, stuff you sent for us here. Delaney's getting the pump hooked up now, and the dynamite's up to the shack.
Oh, thanks, Pete. Come on, Smiley. Smiley?
Yeah?
I'm scared.
So am I.
If things sort of don't go right, see that McLean gives Dottie a square deal on the stock.
Sure, pal.
And Smiley.
What is it, pal?
Oh, stop short-palling me. That's just in case anything happens. Hasn't happened yet, so get that sloppy look off your face.
Sure, pal. I mean, yeah, well.
You see, Pete, I
saw him.
And you're all set, huh?
Yeah, I'm all set. Is the dynamite guy here?
He's outside having a cup of coffee. They got a canteen set up in back of the shack.
Yell for him.
Yeah, okay. Hey, dynamite, over here. Let's go to work.
Yo!
Here he comes.
I heard him.
My name is Collins, not Dynamite. Mind if I bring my coffee in with me?
No, only don't slop it on the floor.
Sorry. What do you want to know?
Can you rig up a charge that'll knock out 2 legs of the rig?
That's my business. Of course I can.
Will I have to set 2 separate charges, or can you make 1 charge do it?
Any way you want it.
How long will it take to get the charges ready? I said, how long will it...
I heard you, mister. Give me a chance to drink my coffee. It's getting cold.
Hey, listen,
Hold
you.
it, Smiley. Who sent you here, Dynamite?
Name is Collins.
I said, who sent you here, Dynamite?
Stone over at Foster Oil said you needed a man with dynamite savvy. He sent me.
Well, I'm the guy who needs you because I'm the guy going into the fire. I got a lot of questions to ask. I'm in a hurry. And if you want to talk with that coffee cup shoved down your throat, just tell me. Either way, I want answers, and I want them quick and civil. Now make up your mind. How do you want to answer me, with or without the coffee cup?
No offense, mister.
Mr. Drake.
Mr. Drake. Now, what do you want to know?
How long will it take?
How do you want the dynamite?
What's the best way?
Jelly. We can put it in a can, wrap it in asbestos, and get out in plenty of time if the fire's not too close.
How soon can we go?
Well, by the time you get all the other stuff ready, I'll be ready.
See you out there.
Okay.
Collins.
Yeah?
You forgot your coffee.
Ah, thanks.
Where's the asbestos suit, Smiley?
Oh, it's back of the shack.
Let's go.
Wally.
Go on, Smiley. I'll be out soon.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, Wally. I'm sorry. I'm not really heroic. I can't act the part of the brave wife sending her husband out. Oh, Wally, please don't go. I'm so afraid.
I got her, honey. That thing's burning up about $10,000-$15,000 a day. I got her.
I don't care if it burns up $1 million a day. Don't go.
Dottie. Dottie.
What?
Have you ever known me to take wild chances? Oh, sure, I play a hunch as far as it'll stretch, but have I ever gone overboard on a pipe dream?
No.
Then you must know that I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I could finish it up right, don't you? Dottie, don't you?
But, Wally, I'm so frightened.
Well, be a little anxious, maybe, but don't be frightened. You stay right here. Don't come out there. I'll be back to see you as soon as we knock old Betsy over on her side, okay?
Okay, Wally.
See you, honey. This was going to be the easy part, if there was such a thing. The fire, instead of shooting straight up in the air, was coming out of all the valves of the Christmas tree like a 4th of July spray. But there was a good side to it. The back 2 legs of the rig were comparatively free of any flame, but it was still plenty hot.
Ready to go?
Yeah. Keep me plenty wet. I don't want to broil.
Don't worry, you won't.
Got the drill pipe ready?
Set to go, boys.
Okay, let's have it. I'm ready. Smiley kept the water smacking into me while I got close enough with the drill pipe to plant the charge. Then I retreated, paying out the insulated cable as I went. Once I got to the periphery, I raised my hand to Collins.
Here, Wally. Let me get that thing off your head.
Wow. And now get the rest of this thing off. How'd it go? Great, huh, Collins?
Real great. You did real good. What now?
Now we gotta knock that Christmas tree off the tubing.
You can't get close enough for that. Even with that monkey suit, you'd be ashes before you got one turn completed.
Yeah. Get Pete and Whitey for me.
Pete! Oh, Pete, Whitey, come here. What are you going to do?
I think I know how I can knock that gadget off.
What's that, Smiley?
I got a job for you guys. Hiya, Whitey.
Hiya, Wally.
I want you guys to get me a 50-foot section of casing and a 50-foot section of tubing.
We got it. It's right
Then
on.
I want you to put the tubing into the casing and weld it so that we can run water between the two of them.
What's that going to do?
It's going to give me a water-cooled boom that I can swing from a bulldozer to knock the Christmas tree off.
It might take a few hours.
Okay, but hurry up.
All right, Whitey, get the tubing.
Right.
Now, you, Pete, see about the casing. I'll go over to the tubing.
Now listen, Smiley. When I get there, I'm going to swing the dozer in an arc so that the boom acts like a baseball bat. You keep the water going.
Yeah, Wally. Now, stay down behind the asbestos shield, though. I got it rigged all across the front.
I know. But it won't help me much when I swing around.
Well, maybe I can rustle up some more.
No, this'll do. Let's go. Don't forget now, Smiley, the water. Keep it going.
I got you.
Pete?
Go.
You stay on the hose with Smiley.
Will do.
Everything else clear to you guys?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, then I'm shoving off. I started forward, the long boom projecting like some monstrous weapon. The reassuring stream from Smiley's hose smashed into me as I inched closer to the flaming fountainhead of the Christmas tree. As the end of the boom passed about 20 feet to the left of it, I pulled the right tread of the dozer to a slithering stop. Then the boom began its swing, and when it reached the full momentum of its travel, it slammed into the tree like a flaming pillar of doom. The fire began shooting straight up into the air. Suddenly, I couldn't feel the water from Smiley's hose, and in that instant, I began to tear. Ow! Smiley! Smiley! Water. I gotta get out of here. 50 feet. 40. 20. Smiley! Smiley. Water.
Hey, Wally. Wally, can you hear me?
The water. What happened to the water?
Bad coupling. It'll be fixed in a minute.
Okay. I'll be ready for the big blast then.
Oh, but you're burned. Let me do it.
I'll be all right. This is the easy part. With the Christmas tree off, I can set the dynamite under the fire.
I won't let you.
Yes, you will.
But Donnie.
Daddy won't know. Collins?
Yeah, Wally?
How much will it take?
Oh, at least 7, 8 gallons of the jelly stuff.
Get it ready.
Wally?
Yeah.
I'll do it. I know how to place this stuff.
Just get it ready. I'll take it in.
Whatever you say.
That's what I say. Get going.
You stop yet, Smiley? I can't tell from here. Hey, Pete, a little more beef on this hose. My hand's cramping.
I got it, Smiley.
I see him. He's getting off the dozer. Swing left a little, Pete.
Where? I can't see.
Left of the dozer. See? Over there.
Yeah, I see him now. Where's he going?
I think he's heading for the draw works. Splash him, Pete!
He's almost out of range.
Now, he's coming out. Here, let me help. Pressure! More pressure back there!
Here he comes.
Oh, come on, Wally.
I don't think I better go after.
No. Stay on the hose. Oh, Wally, come on. Keep the water on him. Keep it on him good. Come on, Wally. Come on. He's in the clear. All right, now, Colin. Let her go.
She's going.
That was all there was to it. Like a blast from the lungs of 1,000 typhoons, the dynamite snuffed out the fire as if it were a giant birthday candle. Now I'm fulfilling a part of the wish I had when all this began. I'm staying in bed for at least a week. Hospital food isn't bad, and I get plenty of visitors. The only trouble is they won't let me take a cold shower. But at least it's something to look forward to.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. John Hodiak.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, the world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. In 28 plants from coast to coast, Autolite makes over 400 products for cars, trucks, tractors, planes, boats, and industry. These products include batteries such as the famous Autolite Stay Full, ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, both standard and resistor types, Autolite starting motors, generators, coils, distributors, voltage regulators, wire and battery cable, and Autolite original service parts for all Autolite electrical systems. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. So, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, the story of a man who had no fear and so was able to attempt his own death. A new dramatization of C.E. Montague's Action. Our star, Mr. Herbert Marshall. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morwick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Portions of this program were transcribed. Hellfire was written for Suspense by Ross Murray. In tonight's story, Joseph Kearns was heard as Smiley, Clayton Post as Pete, Charlotte Lawrence as Dottie, and Jerry Hausner as Collins. Featured in the cast were Junius Matthews, Herb Butterfield, and Dick Ryan.
John Hodiak can soon be seen starring in the Allied Artists production, Dragonfly Squadron.
And remember, next week, Mr. Herbert Marshall in Action.
You can buy Autolite resistor or standard type spark plugs, Autolite electrical parts, and Autolite Stay Full batteries at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
Your eyes are your finest possession. Take care of them, and they will watch out for you. For a free folder on eye care, send a postcard to Prevention of Blindness, Box 426, Radio City, New York. This is the CBS Radio Network. Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Herbert Marshall in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents the story of a man who, having no fear, attempted his own death. A new dramatization of C.E. Montague's Action. Our star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
Mr. Wilcox?
What? You here already?
Yes, sir, Mr. Wilcox. It's Johnny Plum-Check time again.
Well, so it is. Cold weather's coming, and that means Johnny's around to remind you motorists to get that car prepared for winter now with a tune-up, change of oil and grease, antifreeze.
And don't forget to check those important spark plugs, too.
Yes, sir, Johnny, because the spark plugs are the very heart of a car's ignition system. When they're right, you'll start quicker and surer every time, even in coldest weather.
So visit your Autolite spark plug dealer.
Right, Johnny. He's a tune-up expert and a specialist on spark plug cleaning and adjustment. And if replacements are needed, he'll recommend a new set of ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, like the amazing double-life resistor spark plug. To quickly learn the location of your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer, phone Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents Action, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
It happened very simply one Monday morning. I woke up and there was a slight numbness all down my right side. The arm, fingers, a good deal along the leg, rather less in my foot and just a little in the head. I lay still for a moment to let it pass off, but it didn't. And I suddenly knew that it wasn't going to. I'd heard about such things, other chaps at the club, the office. Now it had happened to me. I remember getting up. I could still stand, walk, dress and shave. But the numbness went on. That morning, instead of walking, I took the tram to the office. It was a pleasant autumn day. And there were a lot of young people aboard, healthy young people. The conductor moved down the passageway, collecting fares.
Yes, Pete. Here, look, yes, Pete. Your fare, please, sir.
Wellington Avenue, please.
That's Putney, sir.
Thank you, Al.
Oh, now, we don't take buttons, sir.
I'm sorry, I thought
That's quite all right, sir. Does rather look like silver. And let's see. Here's a threepenny bit, sir. Thank you. Here, look, yes, Pete. Your fare.
His tact and sympathy were perfect. And I had a new care now. Sight, too. Was that going? Sight, touch, the whole sensory business, losing precision, entering on the long slope to decay. I don't think I got much work done that morning, though in a way what I did was good for me, kept my mind off things. I had a 1:45 appointment with an old friend, Adrian Tillett, whom I hadn't seen for a month or two. We'd arranged to meet at my club. I was a little early and sat in my usual place to wait for him.
I say, Bill.
Yes?
Did you hear about Chillerhouse? They brought his body back to England yesterday.
Yeah, I know you.
You've done some mountaineering yourself, haven't you?
A bit.
Blast if I know what you fellows see in it. Bloody awful way to die, if you ask me, falling up a mountain.
I suppose there are worse ways.
Try to tell that to his wife. Well, I'm feeling a bit peckish. Will you join me for lunch?
Thanks very much. I'm waiting for someone.
All right, sure.
Hello, Ben. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No, you haven't. I just got here myself.
Oh, hold on. Steady. I say, you look seedy. Feeling all right?
Yes, splendid. Come along, we'll have a bite to eat.
Good. I'm famished. That's better.
Cigar?
Thanks. What about you?
I don't think so.
Look here, Bell. Is anything wrong? I mean, well, you look like a dying duck in a thunderstorm. Something I can do?
I'm afraid not.
Serious?
I suppose it is, in a way.
If you want to talk about it.
I might as well. I woke up this morning, and I felt numb. The right side. I must have had some sort of a stroke during the night.
Have you been to the doctor?
No. I don't think I shall. You know as well as I do what he'd say.
Oh, my dear boy, you can't let a thing like that just go.
I don't intend to be an invalid for the rest of my life, Tillet. I've seen this happen to people, so have you. End up in a bath chair, being fed by some harridan nurse who won't even let you wipe her own nose. No thanks.
What are you going to do?
I don't know yet. The big thing seems to be, how long? How long does a thing like this take?
Men like you live to be 100. You're an active chap. There's no reason on earth why you...
No, that's just it.
Why don't follow?
I don't want to live to any age like this.
Say, why not come up to my place on Friday? Spend the weekend. Change of air will do you good.
No, I really don't think
don't be an idiot. Marjorie's dying to see you. She always complains that you've given us up. Now, I'm going to expect you. The stream's awfully good this year. We'll do some fishing, right?
Right. Thanks, Tillet. The rest of the week passed, and the sensation of numbness remained with me. Sometimes a bit more or less. At nights, I thought a great deal. On Friday, I drove down to Weybridge. It was obvious that Tillet had told his wife about me. It didn't matter much, except I found myself annoyed at her solicitude. I suppose she couldn't help it. But it was one of the things that definitely made up my mind. I knew what I was going to do. And I told my old friend. We were on the bank of the stream. He'd just landed a nice trout. And we sat down for a smoke. I've made up my mind what to do, Tillet.
Oh?
Yes.
I wondered. Had an idea you were up to something. You've been rather quiet, you know.
I'm sorry.
Is it any better?
No, not the same. I had a dream just before I came down here. I was climbing. It was on a crag that became steeper and steeper as I went up. First it was vertical, and then it overhung more and more until I was actually climbing a reverse slope.
Must have been awkward.
Oh, it's been done, you know.
Has it?
Yes, I read about it, but I've never done it myself.
What happened in your dream?
I fell. Woke up. I thought a lot about it. It's that margin of safety, you know. One does a lot of climbing, and if you're any good at all, you don't slip in the really difficult places. But supposing you pare away at the margin of safety, an experiment. What could you do before all the margin was gone? If you didn't care.
I don't know. I haven't tried climbing.
If one cut out the old fear of death, one could do some amazing things.
Is that what you're going to do?
I think so. Yes.
Look for one of those crags?
Yes, I've never done that. I know of one I'd like to try. Zenau, the Charlie Hawk. It's the ridge of the Weisshorn.
Sounds impressive.
Oh, there are higher mountains, but not many more interesting.
If you want to be a human fly, why not try the chalk pit down the road? Straight up and down. Not so far to fall.
That wouldn't do.
No. It wouldn't, would it? I'm not going to say anything, Bell. There's nothing one can say, really. I wish you wouldn't do it, and I understand why you think you must. When will you leave?
Next week. The snows will be coming at the end of the month. Not much sense in making it too dangerous, is there?
No. Not much sense in that.
Ten days later, I arrived at Zanal and met an old guide I'd known for many years. His name was Gaspar, and he knew the mountains of the Alps as very few men know them. He and his wife ran the hotel, and after dinner, it was my first night there, we talked over a cognac.
It is good to see you again, my friend. I repeat, what a surprise, and so late in the year.
I remember July was my month, wasn't it?
Those days we did some fine climbing, you and I, fine. And where shall we go this time? My time is my own, and now yours. The amateurs have gone. We shall climb for sport, huh?
Perhaps so. I want to try the west side of the Charlie Hook.
Good, good.
Hope you won't be upset, Gaspar. First time I go up, I mean to do it alone.
Alone?
Yes.
Did you say the west side?
That's right.
May I speak of something I've noticed?
Of course.
When I saw you today, I noticed something, a slight limp. You have been in an accident?
No, just a little stiffness.
You have done some climbing since we last were together?
Not much.
But the west side of the ridge, for a man out of condition, is that wise?
I don't see why not.
When do you plan to start?
Tomorrow?
I have never tried it myself.
I'll give you a full report.
Yes, I hope you will. The last man who tried it never came back. He fell, and we still have not found the body.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Herbert Marshall in Action. Tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
The frost is coming, so be wise. Now is the time to winterize.
Right, Johnny Plugcheck. Time for that winter tune-up. Change of oil, grease, and some antifreeze.
And check those important spark plugs, too.
Yes. Spark plugs are the very heart of your car's ignition system. And when they're right, you'll start quicker and surer every time, even in coldest weather. If replacements are needed, your Autolite spark plug dealer will recommend a brand new set of ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. Like the double-life resistor spark plug, the greatest spark plug advance for automotive use in the past 25 years. It gives smoother engine performance and quick starts for twice as long as spark plugs without a built-in resistor. And the resistor spark plug is only one of a complete line of Autolite spark plugs, ignition-engineered for every use. So when you're getting your car winterized, make sure
to check the spark plugs, too.
See your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer this week. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Herbert Marshall in Elliot Lewis's production of Action, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
That night, before I went to bed, I sat for a little while, alone in the smoking room. I had nothing to do, no goodbyes, no last letter to write, no will to be made. That was done and accounted for. I felt my right arm and leg with the fingers of my left hand, still numb. That strange, unfeeling feeling. After that, I read for a bit, then turning out the lamp, went to my room. The next morning was dazzling, the soft green valley meadowland sparkling, and above, against the bluest of skies, the mountains. The autumn sun was warm, and as I decided to travel as lightly as possible, I was glad for that. Leaving the hotel, I made my way past the cow barn, the tiny post office, and on toward the path which led gently upward. I must have been walking for about 5 minutes when he caught up with me.
Herbert. Oh, I nearly missed you. You were gone before I knew it.
Oh, good morning, Gaspar.
A beautiful morning for your climb. I thought if you did not mind that I would walk with you to the bridge.
Well, I don't mind in the least.
My wife was worried.
I'm sorry to hear that.
About you. My wife is a woman who has premonitions. You know women.
Yes, she needn't have worried, you know.
As I told her. You are one of the best. Still, she could not understand why you would suddenly appear and decide to climb the most difficult place on the mountain.
Surely she knows mountaineers.
Yes, she knows them. And she knows they do not attempt such things without a little practice of flexing of unused muscles.
I'm in splendid form, Gaspar.
Up there. That is where you go, huh? The bulge.
Yes.
And when you have conquered that, you will come back?
What an odd question.
Exactly what I told my wife. She had a premonition that all was not well with you.
You'll have to reassure her, won't you, Gaspar?
Yes, I shall, my friend.
I'll say goodbye here.
Yes, I wish you will be all right, Herbert. Remember to conserve your energy, and when you reach the top, come back to us. You will come back.
Yes.
Good luck.
I left the old guide at the wooden bridge and walked on. The place I'd picked to climb was on the west side of the Charlie-Hawk. It's a dip in the ridge that joins the Weisshorn to the Charlie-Horn. The lowest point of the dip is over 12,000 feet. The last part of the rise to the ridge is a wall of ice that undulates like a sheet of hammered copper, concave at one point, convex at another, and at 2 or 3 parts it overhangs. How much I did not know, but you could see it. And it was the underside of that overhang I was going to climb. I would try to do it honestly, get to the ridge and prove that in this small matter, where there is no fear of death, a man can do more than he knows. My timetable began quite on schedule. 3 hours work up to the Arpeteta Alp from Zenal. 3 more up from the Alp to the foot of the ice wall. Half an hour for food, another half an hour for final preparations. Then I was at that point. The wall of ice. And above the great overhanging bulge. It stood out above me like a gigantic blister on the face of the ice. Must have been 40 feet in diameter. And it jutted so much that a stone dropped from its outermost point would only have touched the slope again some 100 feet lower. To reach that outermost point, I knew I would have to climb for about 20 feet as you climb up the underside of a ladder that leans against the wall. And I would have to make the ladder, rung by rung. Fashion each one out of ice with my axe held in one hand, while with the other hand on both feet I'd cling to the 3 rungs already made. Each rung would have to be like a letterbox in a door. Big enough for the toe of my boot to go into, but shaped so that when my hand entered, the fingers could bend down inside and grip as you grip the top of a fence. Then I was there, and the overhang was before me. The work was amazingly hard. I'd only carved 5 letterboxes and used them, and an hour had gone. 5 more, and daylight was failing. My left hand was chilled, almost dead with the ice it had gripped, and my right hand swollen and sore from the constant use of the axe. My right knee began to shake uncontrollably, and I almost laughed. Chattering teeth. I looked up, and some 8 feet above was the goal. Beyond it, I could see nothing but a tranquil sky with a rose-colored flush dying out of it. And suddenly, very clearly, as a complete matter of fact, I knew I couldn't get up those 8 feet. My strength was going. I was about finished. And then, because the will is there until the end, I tried again. Tried. But the axe barely scratched the ice. My left hand was frostbitten, past feeling. Only 5 more feet to go. But 5 more than I could drive myself to. This was the finish then. What I'd set out to do. And now it was the end. I'm done. I didn't know why. I was still holding on. Holding. And it was queer. Something was very queer. I felt little chips of ice stinging my cheeks as they slid down from above. Was an ice avalanche coming? What did it matter? Let the ice do what it wanted. My business with it was done. Then there was a sound. Annoying. A hissing sound. I saw the ice axe slide over the bulge overhead and move out over my head to drop far below. Someone was above me. And suddenly, I don't know why, there was a lightness in me. No more dream. No more dying. I had to go up. Up, and quickly. No longer the care in cutting the steps. Now they were marvels of inadequacy. I didn't think about it. Just ice cuts deep enough for a footing to raise up to cut the next. And the next. And it must have been 3 minutes. Perhaps less, when my chest came up to the dead center of the bulge and I saw what I had come for. It was a woman, dangling at a long rope's end, her body revolving a little as it hung against the steep ice, and holding the rope, perhaps 80 feet above her, the man, his ice axe driven well into the slope behind, holding well with one hand, the other gripping the rope.
Cut the rope, Teddy, cut it. I'm done. Killing me, cut it. You must. You can get down. The children think of... You must. It's killing me.
Well, Elsa, hold on. It's all right. I'm coming. Hold on. I felt like a fool. Absolute freedom from uneasiness concerning my own plight. For I still wasn't up myself. But I never liked heroics, and this sounded horribly, disgustingly heroic. And I kept it up. I had to. There in 2 minutes. Hold on. 1 minute more. Just one. Almost. Hold on. Hold on. Half a jiffy. I'm just there. And I'd arrived over the bulge. A foothold on an upward slope. I cut a big step close to where her feet hung, planted my own firmly in it, and took her weight on my shoulder. Slowly the man above paid out the rope till she was by my side, standing safe.
You're quite a happy sight.
Have you got her? All right? Yes. Right as rain. Give us a moment or two. Then dig in. We'll come up. Hey! Hey, all right? The last daylight was gone when the three of us stood on the level roof of the ridge. I tried my best not to look at him or at her. These are things best not observed. I think she stayed in his arms for a long moment.
Well, you understand.
Thanks. Thanks for our lives.
Oh, Lord, I just happened to be there. Luck, that's all.
Yes. Luck.
I suppose we'd better push off. Getting a little chilly. was luck. There was a full moon, and the downward trail was something else from the way I'd come up. We none of us spoke. I don't think a single word all the way back. And then the village, the hotel, and she was put to bed, alive, tired. It was only after that in the smoking room that I learned their names. His name was Dolan, Theodore Dolan. The woman upstairs, his wife Hillary. And because he seemed to feel himself under some sort of obligation to me, I told him about myself, my crime, why. And when I finished, he said,
"Look here, I'm a doctor, and I know about such things. Tell me, when you were making that last climb over the bars, did that numbness cramp you? Or did you notice it?"
No. It had been there, but not the last 10 minutes.
And you're in action.
Action?
Yes, I mean doing something you're absorbed in, lost in.
Yes. I see.
And that's the way it should be, you know. What you've got, the numbness, that will stay with you, but does it matter quite as much as you thought?
No. I don't think so.
You won't try that sort of thing again?
No.
Then it's going to be all right.
Yes. It's going to be all right.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
This is Harlow Wilcox again, speaking for Autolite. It's always good to welcome back our longtime friend, Herbert Marshall. Bart, we enjoyed every minute of tonight's story.
Thanks, Harlow. And may I compliment Autolite for the excellent programs to come. Next week, Van Heflin in The Shot. And the following week, Jeff Chandler in an exciting story, My True Love's Hair. We can certainly depend on Autolite for wonderful entertainment.
And friends, the greatest names in industry depend on Autolite for over 400 products for cars, trucks, tractors, planes, and boats. In 28 plants from coast to coast, Autolite makes such products as the famous Autolite Stay-Full batteries, ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, both standard and resistor types, Autolite starting motors, generators, coils, distributors, voltage regulators, wire and battery cable, and Autolite original service parts for all Autolite electrical systems. So, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, the story of a duel, an incomplete duel, since one of its participants chose to wait and owe his adversary the shot. Our star, Mr. Van Heflin. That's next week on Suspense. C.E. Montague's Action was adapted for Suspense by Anthony Ellis. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Featured in the cast were Ellen Morgan, Harley Bear, Herb Butterfield, Richard Peel, and Ben Wright.
Herbert Marshall will soon be seen in Riders to the Stars, Ivan Torr's Technicolor production for United Artists.
And remember, next week, Mr. Van Heflin in The Shot.
You can buy Autolite resistor or standard type spark plugs, Autolite electrical parts, and Autolite Stay-Full batteries at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This week and every week is a good time to hire the handicapped. Surveys have proved that properly placed handicapped workers are steady and reliable. Consult your state employment service and hire the handicapped. This is the CBS Radio Network.
And now, stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who's guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, Blue Alibi.
John Sheridan knew exactly what to expect as he brought his car to a stop in front of his New England beach home. For the brightly lighted house, the cars parked carelessly along the driveway meant just one thing. His wife, Edith, had again invited a group of her friends over to spend the evening. As John entered the house, the music, the gay laughter, the hum of idle chatter suddenly became more than he could bear. Unobserved, or so he thought, he slipped into the hall, hurried to the den, and shut the door. But his escape was only momentary. Almost immediately, the door opened again.
Hello, Edith.
John, why do you insist on being deliberately offensive to our guests?
Your guests, not mine. I didn't invite them.
But I did because of you.
That again.
Yes, that again. You may be satisfied with your salary as city treasurer and chairman of the Board of Public Works, but...
We get along. I'm satisfied.
But I'm not. These people are important politically. They could help you, John. You could be governor in a few years.
Edith. Right now, keeping up my work is more important than making new political contacts. I have a lot of construction contract bids to go over. I'd planned to work on them here tonight and have them ready by morning, but now, well, your noisy friends make it impossible.
Where are you going?
Down to the guest cottage where I can work in peace and quiet.
You leave the house, walk slowly down to the cottage near the beach, pleased with the way you've handled Edith. You lied about the work you have to do, didn't you, John? That was just an excuse to get away from the house without arousing her suspicion. Sometime later, a light tap at the cottage door tells you that your expected visitor has arrived.
Hello, Frank. Come on in.
Party going on up at your place?
Yeah, some of Edith's friends.
Any chance of them dropping in on us?
No.
Well, I still don't see why we couldn't have met at my place like always.
Too risky. If we're smart, Frank, we'll arrange to meet at a different place each time from now on.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Well, it's a nice little spot you got here, Sheridan.
Just a guest house. Edith's idea.
What's this stuff? Your wife a sculptress?
No, that's some of my work. Just a hobby. Been fooling around with clay modeling since I was a kid.
Oh?
Sit down, Frank. Get your drink?
No, thanks. Don't have time.
You have the money?
Yep. There you are. Your cut for the library building job. $5,000.
Good.
Now, how about that bridge contract?
The final bids will be in Friday. I'll go over them all before the board meets. You can tip your contractor off.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it this time?
Greenwood. Al Greenwood.
Okay, the job's his. I'll get the usual cut.
As soon as the contract's signed.
Good. That'll be in a couple of weeks.
It's as simple as that, isn't it, John? You arrange it so that a few of Frank Devon's hand-picked contractors get most of the city construction jobs. And Frank's payoff is big and quick. After he leaves, you smile. Open the package he left and stuff the $5,000 into your wallet. But that smile freezes when suddenly you hear footsteps. You slip the wallet into your pocket just as the door opens.
Edith. What are you doing here?
Our guests were so overwhelmed with your graciousness, they left early. So I decided to go for a swim. John, how long have you and Frank Devon been mixed up in this crooked deal?
What?
Sorry, I couldn't help but overhear. Coming down the back way when I heard voices.
I see.
John, you must be out of your mind. With a great career ahead of you, you get yourself involved with a gambling racketeer like Frank Devon, who's managed to link himself with a few shady contractors. How much has he given you?
About $25,000.
You're going to give it back. Every penny.
I can't. I've only got about $15,000 left.
I'll make up the other 10.
How generous. Loosening up the purse strings at last, are you?
John, you've got to break with Devon tomorrow, completely, permanently.
It's not as simple as...
If you don't, I'll go to the district attorney and tell him everything I know.
That will involve me.
Yes, that's right, John. I worked hard to make you a success, and you can still be a success.
Success? That's all you think about. Our marriage isn't a marriage to you anymore. It's just...
You're right. But you're the cause of it. I'm not a blind fool, you know.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Ann Allison, your secretary. Now, something else, John. You've got to discharge her and break with her as well as Devon. I'm tired of having my friends laugh at me behind my back.
Now, look, Edith.
I mean what I say, John. If you haven't told Frank Devon you're through and said your little farewells to Ann Allison by tomorrow night, I'll go to the district attorney. Tell him everything. Take your choice.
How would you like to win a Buick Super in the dashing new Riviera model? Or the famous Apex 3-piece automatic laundry, washer, dryer, and ironer? Or one of 2 O'Keefe and Merritt deluxe gas ranges with vanishing shelf and grill-evator broiler? One of 10 solid gold case wristwatches by Hellbros? One of 5 makeup cases from Halliburton's line of featherweight aluminum luggage, filled with exquisite cosmetics by Anatole Robbins of Hollywood? Or one of 10 Packard Bell radios? These are just a few of the 200 valuable prizes to be given in Signal's big $10,000 contest. And what a contest. No purchase required, no box tops to send in, no tickets to save. Here's all you have to do. You know those Signal cartoon billboards you see wherever you drive? The one that's up now pictures an angry bride waiting at the church door for the groom, who is just arriving late because he ran out of gas. Well, all you need do is to write in 25 words or fewer what you think the bride is shouting at the groom. Hey, doesn't that sound like an easy, fun-filled way to win some wonderful things you've been wanting? Then listen later for more details about Signal's big $10,000 contest and the thrilling prizes you can win.
You haven't much choice, have you, John? You're certain your wife Edith meant it when she said she'd expose your illegal adventures with a racketeering and politically powerful Frank Devon, unless you broke off with him immediately. You don't want to give up all that easy money, do you? Not when Edith holds on to hers the way she does. But she's too strong for you, and you certainly don't want to go to jail, do you? If you can just persuade Devon to play it Edith's way for a while, give you some time to kill her suspicions, you'll resume your profitable associations with him later. The following evening, you phone him, arrange to meet him in the office of a mutual friend.
Come on in, Sheridan.
Hello, Frank.
That's so important you couldn't tell me over the phone.
Well, I'm in sort of a jam. I think I want to lay off for a while. My wife found out about our arrangement.
How?
She was outside the beach cottage last night and heard everything we said.
I should have had more sense than to meet you there in the first place. Okay, so your wife knows, so she'll keep her mouth shut.
She won't.
She'll have to. You think I'm going to sink $25,000 into this deal and then kiss it off just like that?
No, I don't expect that, Frank. I've got the $25,000 right here. Cash. Just like you gave it to me.
Keep it.
But you don't understand. She'll go to the DA. She'll tell him everything.
That would involve you, too.
She knows that.
Well. She's really nuts about you, isn't she?
No, it's not that.
Well, if she thinks that I'm going to let my number 1 boy at City Hall go, she's off her whirl. You're going to go right on handing out jobs the way I tell you, understand? I put that money back in your pocket and go home and make your wife behave.
Frank, listen to me.
You listen to me. Greenwood gets that bridge construction just like we planned. And if the DA starts getting nosy all of a sudden, well, that's okay, too. Only you won't have to worry about your wife anymore.
What do you mean?
She'll be a widow.
You're certain he means what he says, aren't you, John? Certain that Frank Devon won't hesitate to take any action he feels necessary to keep you in line or quiet. And you know that with his connections, he could arrange things very easily. Your only hope now is to prevent Edith from going to the district attorney, at least until you can figure some way to handle Frank. You've got to have time to think things out. You return to your home and find Edith in the library. You try and explain to her how impossible it is for you to simply tell Devon that you're through. Explain to her that above everything he's a racketeer with a powerful organization, that even her life might be in jeopardy. Assure her that you'll break with Devon if she'll just give you a little time. Finally, she agrees to give you until the end of the week. For the next few days, you think of one scheme after the other and reject each as impractical. Then one afternoon, Edith drops unexpectedly into your office. Her first words fall on your ears like a bombshell.
Hello, John. I thought you'd be glad to know I've taken care of your break with Frank Devon.
You what?
I sent him back all the money he's given you by a special messenger this morning, with a note explaining exactly what will happen to him if he doesn't let you alone. It'll convince him, John. I'm sure.
After Edith leaves, you begin to realize that her action was a smart move. Her note to Devon places him on a spot as tight as your own. But you're still quite nervous and spend the remainder of the day in your office, waiting for some word from Devon, but nothing comes. Finally, as night settles over the city, you hurry out of the office to the parking lot, slide into your car. As you do, your hands suddenly freeze on the wheel. Pressing at the back of your head is the cold, unmistakable feel of an automatic.
Don't turn around, pal.
Who are you? What do you want?
Name's Nick. Mr. Devon told me I should have a little talk with you.
Devon?
That's right. First of all, that $25,000 your wife sent to him this morning. He told me to deposit it in your bank to your credit. That I did this afternoon.
You what? No,
That could be a little embarrassing to you, couldn't it? Now, about that letter your wife's note says that you wrote the DA. The one that's going to be sent to him if anything happens to you. Telling him all about you and Mr. Devon's deals.
Well, I'm not bluffing about that. I've written it.
Old gag. Won't work, chum.
If anything happens to me...
Look, all I got to do is press this trigger.
No.
And it's all over. Just like that. You know where Mr. Devon's is right now? 200 miles away. With a perfect developer. So how's the DA going to put anything on Mr. Devon, huh?
Well, you still know the details of the contract racket.
And Mr. Devon ain't got a thing to do with that racket. Only you and the contractors. Mr. Devon was pretty smart to handle it that way right from the start. And speaking of contracts, about that bridge job coming up.
What about it?
Is Al Greenwood going to get that bridge contract?
Yes. He'll get it.
And your wife. She's going to keep quiet, ain't she?
Yes, she'll keep quiet. She'll have to.
A half hour later, you arrive at your house, still somewhat shaken from your encounter with Devon's trigger man in the parking lot. You can't break off with Devon, can you? You're certain of that now. And the more you think about it, the more bitter you become toward Edith. You really don't want to sever your connections with Devon anyway, do you? Not with all that easy money rolling in. Another year or two with him and you won't need a political career.
Edith, are you home?
Good evening, Mr. Sheridan.
Oh, hello, Kitty. Is Mrs. Sheridan about?
She's gone for a swim, sir.
Oh, I see. All right, thanks.
Mr. Sheridan, I know it's not any of my business, sir.
What is it, Kitty?
Well, it's about Mrs. Sheridan, sir. Going swimming like that every evening, and alone, too. There's never a soul along the beach that time of night. I don't think it's safe.
I never thought much about it. She's really quite a good swimmer.
Been plenty of good swimmers drowned, you know. Cramps and all. And that undertow, I hear it's pretty bad.
Well, I'll speak to her about it. It's thoughtful of you to mention it, Katie. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, John, as Katie says, if something should happen to Edith, you could go right ahead with Devon, couldn't you? And you're tired of Edith's efficient management of your life. As Katie suggested, Edith could drown, couldn't she, John? Accident. No one would suspect. Yes. But it won't be a simple matter to arrange. Edith's a good swimmer, and you wouldn't stand a chance of fighting her in the waves. Then your eyes fall on the small clay figure you've modeled, Gunwar's water bearer, and the flicker of an idea stirs in your brain. You pick it up, stare at it for a moment, and then your gaze wanders to the half-open bathroom door, the tub beyond, the empty aluminum bucket in the corner. The bucket, John. Yes. Now you know exactly how you're going to do it, don't you? Edith will drown, but at the guest cottage, not at the beach. And even the autopsy will help put you in the clear.
You're home late tonight, John.
Oh, Edith. Yes, I had some work to do at the office. How was the water?
Oh, cold. Any word from Devon today?
No, not a word.
Good. Then it's over, isn't it, John?
Yes, Edith. I guess it's all over.
It isn't really over, is it, John? Not quite. But it will be tomorrow night. You'll have to have an alibi, too. Not an elaborate one, not perfect, the kind that causes suspicion. Yes, a simple alibi, John. One to make your actions and explanations seem perfectly natural. As you replace the small clay figure on your desk, it suddenly occurs to you. The alibi to account for every moment of your time. Your old hobby, clay modeling. Early the following evening, over after-dinner coffee, you set your plan into motion. Edith seems surprised when you tell her you're going to take up your hobby again. A little puzzled, too. But she does seem pleased.
It'll be more work for you, Katie.
Oh, I
not
don't
so much
mind
more.
them. It'll seem quite like old times again. Mr. Sheridan making them little statues.
Old time. I've wondered. Well, anyway, I'm glad, John.
I wondered what he was carrying in that package under his arm when he came home there.
Oh, I happened to drop into Calloway's art shop today, and we got to talking, and the next thing I knew, I bought a stock of supplies. Well, if you'll excuse me, Edith, I think I'll go down to the guest cottage. I'm anxious to get started. I used to get a big kick out of this.
I don't blame you, John. You have real talent. What's the subject going to be?
Well, I haven't quite decided yet. Why don't you look in on me after your swim?
You really want me to?
Yes, why not?
All right, John. I will.
Fine. Oh, and Katie, if anyone calls, I don't want to be disturbed.
I understand, sir.
Once at the cottage, you spend several minutes making certain that everything you need is at hand. And now, the most important step of all. You smile as you cross to the workbench, pick up a soft, blue-tinted clay, and begin to shape your alibi. A clever touch, this, isn't it, John? And you're amused, quite pleased with yourself, as your fingers dig into the clay. It's almost 10 o'clock now. Edith will be returning from the beach soon. Your fingers move swiftly, expertly, molding the small figure of a bird on the stand before you. You must have it all finished tonight, John. Your alibi. Occasionally you look out the window down the path to the beach. And finally you see Edith emerge from the water. Now, John. Now is the time to call Katie up at the house. Make certain she's kept busy there during the next 15 minutes. All the time you need. 15 important minutes. You dial the main house.
Yes, Mr. Sheridan?
Katie, I'm famished. How about fixing me some coffee and sandwiches, huh?
Yes, Mr. Sheridan. There's some cold chicken.
Oh, that'll be fine.
Hello, John.
Well, Edith, enjoy your swim?
Even more than usual, I think.
Good. I just called Katie to make some sandwiches for us.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Well, how do you like it?
Oh, this is splendid, John.
I'm calling it the Blue Heron.
I think it's the best you ever done, really.
Thanks. Here, you look at it from this angle.
Oh, yes. Yes, excellent.
Her back is to you now, and you move quickly. Pin her arms to her side.
John, what are you doing?
It's over in a matter of minutes, isn't it, John? You carry Edith's body across the deserted beach to the end of the pier and drop her into the sea. Then you hurry up the path to the cottage. As you reach the crest of the hill, you see Katie step out of the main house and start down the path. You leap into the brush, make your way quickly through the shadows to the cottage, and step inside. When Katie arrives, you're standing at the work table, your fingers moving over the blue heron.
Ah, there you are, Katie.
Isn't Mrs. Sheridan back from her swim yet?
Oh, isn't she at the house?
No, sir.
Well, perhaps she's on her way up now. Did you notice anyone?
Just this minute came down, sir. Didn't see a soul on the path.
Oh. Well, don't worry. She'll be along.
Yes, sir. Oh, my, you have been working. What sort of a bird is that, sir?
Heron. Like it?
It is pretty, sir. Real pretty.
Thank you.
About Mrs. Sheridan, sir. It kind of worries me.
Oh, you're very considerate, Katie, but don't worry. You go on back to the house. I'll be up later.
Yes, sir. Good night.
You wait another hour, then call the house. Ask Katie if Edith has returned. When she tells you Edith hasn't come back yet, you show concern. And minutes later, Katie joins you and goes with you to the beach, where you play the role of the worried husband. Finally, the two of you return to the house. Call the police. Give them the details of Edith's disappearance. Early the following morning, you're at the guest cottage when Katie ushers in Chief of Police Thompson.
Oh, Mr. Sheridan, it's dreadful.
Harry, you found her?
Yes, about an hour ago. The tide carried her body about a half a mile down the beach. I'm sorry, John.
Edith. Drowned? No, I can't believe it.
It is hard to believe. She must have been seized with cramps, unless perhaps her heart...
No, her heart was fine.
Well, if anything was wrong, the autopsy will show it. I'll phone you the results.
Yes, I'd appreciate it, Harry.
I won't keep any longer now, John. I know this has been hard on you.
Thanks. Thanks, Harry. You've been very kind.
After Police Chief Thompson leaves, you breathe a sigh of relief. You're sure he doesn't suspect a thing. Nevertheless, you'll be glad when the autopsy is over and the case is officially closed. When the chief hasn't called after a couple of hours, you begin to grow restless and pace the floor. And finally...
Hello?
John?
Oh, yes, Harry.
It looks like we were right. The autopsy shows your wife probably drowned as a result of cramps. No marks on the body. Seawater in her lungs. Sorry, John. If there's anything I can do...
No, thanks, Harry. You've been more than considerate. I'll be all right now. Perfectly all right.
Have you been wishing for a television set? Win today's most wanted set, the giant 16-inch Packard Bell Telecaster console that turns at fingertip touch to most convenient viewing angle. This and 5 other Packard Bell television sets with latest type black picture tube will be given in Signal's big $10,000 contest that includes 200 valuable prizes, such as Frigidaire's deluxe refrigerator with new cold wall cooling, Frigidaire electric range, Frigidaire home freezer, 10 Westinghouse vacuum cleaners, plus 50 Westinghouse pop-up toasters. All these and dozens of other valuable prizes to be given for just writing in 25 words or fewer what you think the angry bride on the Signal gasoline billboard is saying to her tardy, out-of-gas groom. For instance, she might be saying, "You're too late. I married the best man. He got here on time with Signal Go Farther gasoline." Winners will be selected on the basis of originality and humor, aptness and suitability in advertising Signal products. Your chances of winning are good, because only entries mailed on official entry blanks from the 6 Signal states, California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, and Arizona, are eligible to win. So stop by your nearest Signal service station tonight or tomorrow, sure, for a free entry blank. It contains helpful suggestions that make it even easier for you to win.
Well, John, it's over, isn't it? Your wife, Edith, is dead. An accidental drowning. And no one suspects that you had anything to do with it. The police have come and gone. They've accepted your story. And now the autopsy proves Edith's death was caused by drowning. You're certain you're in the clear. Yes. You're free to continue with Frank Devon, free of Edith, the way that she was running your life. During the remainder of the day, you play the role of the grief-stricken husband, accept the condolences of your friend. And then early that evening, you have another caller. Chief of Police Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Back again, Harry? Sometimes I'm pretty hard to get rid of, John. Sit down. What's on your mind? Just a couple of more questions.
America was not yet at war, and the air in Washington was summer pleasant.
But neither Katharine Hepburn nor her supporting cast nor I thought of pleasantries in those days. We were there to try and convince a handful of congressmen to permit refugees to enter our country, very small refugees, baby refugees who would be in the path of the German blitzkrieg. We did the broadcast, and happily our immigration door opened a small blessed crack, and some very small blessed children escaped, Hitler and company.
Innocent children caught in a whirlpool of inhuman hatred. Children ostracized, excluded from schools and public places, threatened with physical harm, forbidden the simplest requirements of spiritual survival. Surely our American sympathies go out to these, the most pitiful and helpless of sufferers. America must do its share in offering refuge to some of these children as a token of our sympathy and as a symbol of our faith in the ideals of human brotherhood.
Miss Katharine Hepburn in another original drama. Its title, Miss American.
The scene, a great luxury liner returning from Europe to America. It is late at night. A girl stands on the boat deck looking out into the darkness, her face to the wind that lifts whitecaps on the tumbling sea. Suddenly, an older woman approaches and speaks.
Well, Ronnie, I must say this is a peculiar way to behave.
What did you say, Aunt Mary?
I said it distinctly and you heard me. Do you realize that people have been asking about you?
Have they?
Oh, Ronnie, do come downstairs, standing up here in the cold.
Please, I'm all right.
Oh, Ronnie, what is the matter with you?
4 people.
People? Oh, that. Well, after all, my dear, there are always a certain number of undesirables on board a ship this size. And if you'd only stop wandering up and down the second and third classes, you'd find everything quite right and proper.
Right and proper?
Yes, for the children, I spoke to the captain about them.
Did you?
Staring at us every time we walked the deck. I told the captain exactly how we felt about the matter.
We?
The things we talked about this morning.
Oh, yes, I remember.
I should think you would. You were quite definite in your opinion. And, of course, I agree with you. They've no right to take such young children and bring them to New York to heaven knows what. But you know the captain. That little charming smile, and he changed the subject, and, oh, well, what difference does it really make? We'll be ducking in the morning and away from all this.
Aunt Mary, there's something I want to tell you.
No, tell me later, my dear. Right now, the thing for you to do is to go down, get dressed, and join the others just as quickly as you can. Come now.
No. I want to stay here.
Why, Ronnie.
Please, a few moments longer. I'll come down.
Ronnie, I've never known you... Oh, very well, have your silly little mood. But I don't understand what it's all about. Mooning up here in the dark like a romantic 16-year-old. All I say is hurry downstairs. We'll be waiting for you.
Romantic. Yes, it is romantic. I'm in love with. If she knew. In love with. Yes. Love at 23rd sight with.
America.
That's a childish thought to have.
Patriotic, Pap.
Of course it is. Of course. Getting softening of the brain. Thinking silly things. Over-emotionalized. Ought to go below and join the party. Stop standing here thinking to myself.
America.
No. No, why shouldn't I think it out? How did it start?
The things we talked about this morning.
Yes, Aunt Mary did say that. The things we talked about this morning.
Those children.
Always staring at us,
Why bring them over?
full of foreign ideas. Always staring.
Not like us. Foreigners. Not like us.
Not like us. I said that, I remember. Not like us. Not like us. Not like me. Not like me. Resented their being on board. What happened? Oh, let me remember. I went walking on the lower deck. They were sitting there as usual.
The four of them.
Yes, the four of them. Sitting in a row. White faces, staring eyes, looking at me. At me. I couldn't stand it. What did I say? Yes, I said.
You, children. Don't you know it's bad manners to stare at people?
For a moment, no answer. 3 little boys, 1 little girl. Their staring eyes. Why should they stare at me? I said,
Answer me, one of you. If you're coming to America, heaven knows why, at least they should have taught you some English.
They didn't move. 4 rigid little figures. And then,
They all speak English.
Well, at last, the state speaks.
No, that is not my name.
he said that. Then he closed his mouth. And the 4 of them were sitting there once again. Those eyes of theirs, staring. I said,
What are you sitting there for? I've been watching you all through the trip. You sit there in those deck chairs hour after hour. What are you waiting for?
America.
She said that, the little one. And then she closed her mouth so tightly I could see the muscles of the corners of her lips. She sat there tense, frightened. Not another sound from any of them, their eyes beyond me, on the sea, on the horizon. I said,
All right, you're waiting for us to reach land. But what's that got to do with the 4 of you getting up, running around, having fun? Come on. Don't you know how to laugh? Do you know how?
Then we are in America. Then we will laugh.
So that's it. You don't like the sea. You're waiting for the land. No, we are waiting for America.
Waiting for America? What silly nonsense were these children thinking? Couldn't laugh until America. I thought to myself, how silly. Prove these children strangers, aliens, foreign to our thoughts. Aloud, I said,
Listen, the 4 of you. Are you trying to rid me in your infant continental manner? If you're waiting until you land, until you laugh, I'm warning you, you better start laughing now. There isn't much to laugh about there, let me assure you. The dullest, dumbest place on earth. Why do you think I went abroad? Laugh in America. Don't make me laugh. We've got repressions and recessions and concessions and dissensions and...
And while I kept talking, the children's faces grew angrier and angrier, their eyes larger and larger, hating me for what I was saying. Angrier and angrier until at last one of them cried out,
No, wait.
Wait?
Miss American, wait. What you say, it is not right.
What's not right?
All these things you say of America. I do not understand. I do not know. But this I know. It is not right.
No, that is not right. Wait a moment. And what is right, Herr Professor?
America is good. And it's a good place. Because no, you say it. Because in America, all men are
created equal.
Yeah, and they are endowed by their creativity with the right of life, on liberty, on the sort of happiness.
Bravo! Right out of the old Declaration of Independence. So where did you learn that? And what does it mean?
Young teachers. Yeah, yes. Here on the boat, they gave me a book. I read. How you say it, Miss American? I teach.
You teach. You. And what you teach, all that about life and liberty. What can it possibly mean to poor children like you?
Maybe I do not understand everything you say, Miss American. But what we learn, it means that no matter what is wrong in America, it can be fixed. We are free and equal, and we can work and help America.
Help America? When he said that, I didn't have anything more to say. Nothing cute or bright or clever. Poor little children. I stood in front of them. Suddenly, I wanted to say so many things to them, but my throat, I couldn't. I couldn't until one of them said,
"Please, Miss American, what the books say about America. It is all right."
Right.
Tell us of it, Miss American.
Pity.
America. It's very large and very beautiful. And all the people in it, or their fathers, or their fathers' fathers, came over the water to it, just the way you're doing. And there's a bigness to it, and a braveness to it. And you need never be afraid. And no matter what goes wrong there's always hope, as long as there's someone like you to remind the rest of us that the American way is the human way. That's what I said to them. Yes. And they came close to me and touched my hand. And they smiled at each other and at me. And so I'm in love. Yes, in love. With my country. For remembering 4 little people who want to help us.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we bring this program starring Katharine Hepburn to a close. The broadcast was especially written for this occasion by Art Oboler. The cast included Betty Kane, Jackie Grimes, May Grimes, Jackie Kelp, Adelaide Klein, Ed Latimer, Bobby Reddick, and George Wallach. And speaking, Raymond Edward Johnson. The music was composed by Leith Stevens, who conducted the orchestra.
From the Black Museum, a repository of death, a memorial to crime. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames which houses Scotland Yard is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a pocketbook, a rag doll, a paperweight, all are touched by murder. Look, here under the glass case. We'll open it up and, with the permission of the curator, we'll take out 2 small objects that speak directly of violence and sudden death. In the palm of my hand, I'm holding 2 bullets. Each has claimed a life, an innocent life. And these twin messengers of death have a common origin, although 3 years passed before the first was followed on its fatal mission by the second.
When the bullets were rotated, groove by groove, under a comparison microscope, points of similarity in the scoring were evident. It is established beyond doubt that the bullets were fired from the same weapon, a Service Enfield .45, as issued to the fighting forces of Britain.
But these bullets were never fired against the enemies of Britain. That is why they can be seen today in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum.
And here we are in the Black Museum, Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Yes, beyond these stone walls, the life of London flows and ebbs like the muddy waters of the Thames. But here it is quiet, very quiet. Yet there's a tension in the cold air, as if unseen eyes were watching. Come with me, past row upon row of inanimate objects, each one marked with the names of the killer and the victim. Murderers caught, murderers yet to be caught. Sometimes the wheels of justice turn slowly, but more of that when it comes to the glass case at the end of the gallery. Now I see the watching eyes up there just below the ceiling. There hang the death masks of criminals of bygone days. They form a grim frieze. They were collected at a time when forensic theorists believed that a composite face made up of the dominant characteristics of hundreds of criminal features would resolve into a picture of the typical criminal. But in 1913, the experts decided that the masks presented nothing different from your face and mine, the average law-abiding citizens. Ah, up there. You know that face? Yes, it's Heinrich Himmler, the German Gestapo chief. The mask was taken a few hours after he bit into a phial of potassium cyanide as he stood before his British captors at Lunenburg. And now, here we are. Here's the case. Here are the two bullets. One fired in 1944 when London shook under Hitler's onslaught of Z-1s. The other fired during the uneasy peace of 47 when anxious eyes were turning eastward. And the story of these little pieces of metal is the story of a byproduct of war. It is the story of two boys. They never lived to reach man's true estate. They died by hanging when they were 19. But the path that led them to the scaffold they found when they were age 14, evacuated to a farm in the country. The summer of 1942, all Europe lies under the heel of the invader. England is surrounded by a ring of steel, and the gunners on the white cliffs of Dover look across the narrow straits upon occupied France. But on Rington Farm in Cheshire, all is peaceful. Or is it?
Hello, Joe. What you got under your coat?
Hey, come into the barn, quick.
What's the lock?
Close the door. Nobody about, is there?
No.
And look at what I've got.
The old man's gun. Does he know you've got it?
Ah, don't be so daft. Of course he don't.
You'll be mad if he finds out. He might chuck us out the house.
Ah, no, he's too soft.
But how does it work? It's in two pieces.
Oh, haven't you ever seen a sporting gun before?
No.
Fixed together like this.
Oh, all right, isn't it?
Ah, it's wonderful. Lovely 12 bore, this is.
Hey, what you doing now?
Ah, what's it look like I'm doing? I'm loading the perisher.
You're not going to fire it, Joe?
Not scared, are you?
They'll hear.
Ah, no, they won't. There's nobody in the house. They're going into town for the afternoon. Hey, what's that?
Only the cat comes in here after mice. There it is. Oh, Joe. What have you done?
Hey, quick, grab that spade. We'll bury it outside.
It's dead.
Of course it is. Don't stand there with your eyes hanging out. Fix that spade. If we move quick, they'll never know.
So Joseph Bell and Nicholas Green follow the path they have chosen of their own free will. 1944, springtime. The Allied forces are poised for the invasion of Europe. But in a last desperate gamble, Hitler has launched his armada of V-1s, the flying bombs that were to have brought England to her knees. Had they been launched a little earlier, and had the defenses been less effective. Those defenses did not number Bell and Green among their gallant company. Bell and Green back in London are looking for easy money. At 16, says Bell, a man has got to have money. Yes, and they are 16 now. Old beyond their years and already experienced in the art of making easy money. But in a small way, as yet.
Look out, here comes another V1. Here, the engine stopped. Which way was it going, did you see? No. Oh, well, why worry? We've got to buy it sometime. We're okay. It dropped to the next block. It must have been pretty close to the copper station. I hope it was on top of it with all the lousy coppers inside. Here, let's go into this cave and see what we can find.
That was London in 1944. A shattering explosion brings death and destruction. But it's just around the block. We're okay here. Life goes on. We're used to it.
Take the table where the soldier is, Nick. Right. You mind if we sit down, soldier?
No, carry on.
Yes? What can I get you?
Beans on toast and a cup of tea. Plenty of sugar. Same for me.
Huh, plenty of sugar. You'll be lucky.
And make it snappy.
Oh, of all the cheek.
Not bad, eh? Listen to me, partner. Women's out in this team, get it? Oh, I don't understand you at times, Joe. Don't you ever look at a girl? Not unless I can get something out of her. Change the subject. Okay. You got a light on you, soldier?
Oh, sure.
Tar. Ever fagged yourself?
Oh, thanks very much. Happen to know where that last bomb went off?
Round the corner somewhere?
Hope it wasn't too bad for the poor devils who stopped it. Rotten things, them buzz bombs.
Yes. Hard on the women and children.
Oh, don't talk about it. I've just lost my wife and nipper. She was 22. And the boy was 18 months. I told her to keep away from London, but she come back. You know what it is, living with strangers. She wanted to be home. Now there isn't any home. Just a crater.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. When did it happen?
Last week. That's why I'm here. Got a compassionate posting to clear things up.
Was that your bike I saw outside?
Yeah. I'm a Donner at the War Office.
Dispatch rider, eh?
Yeah.
Is that why they give you the pistol?
Yeah. M-Fuel 45. I only wish I could have a crack at the gun with it. But my time will come. I've asked to go back to my unit in the 11th Armoured.
2 teas.
Thanks, beautiful. Who's seen you home tonight?
Ah, look, what do you take me for, a cradle snatcher? I'm bringing the beans.
I told you to cut it out. Oh, shut up.
You asked for it, chum, and you got it.
You mind your own business. Now, take that back. What do you mean by talking to the soldier like that after he's lost his wife and kid, eh? Go on, apologize. Of course. I'm sorry.
Ah, don't worry. Forget it. I've got other things to think about.
Yes, of course you have, pal. Here I say, what do I do with my gloves? I don't know. Oh, it's all right. It's all right. They're down here on the floor. I can get them. Nice drop of tea, this.
Yeah.
Where the blazes are you going, Joe? Ferret?
No. I've got them down here.
Oh, the gloves. Here, I say, got the time on you, soldier?
Yeah, it's 9:30.
9:30? Are you sure?
Yeah, I set my watch for Big Ben when I come past about an hour ago. Oh, it's going all right.
Here, we've got to get moving. Why? Why? Because we promised to go round to Percy's and sit with his kids until his wife gets back from fire duty. He leaves the house at 9:30. She won't be back for an hour.
Oh, so the kids will be all alone, will they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
Here, look, we'll have to skip the beans on toast. Be a pal and give this to the waitress. Tell her what's happened, will you?
Yeah, right. I'm glad you're doing a good job. I'll explain.
Yeah, well, thanks. Come on, empty head. Let's go. Joe, what's all this? Who's Percy? Run, Nick. I've got that false pistol. Holy smoke.
You see how it all works out? The soldier, Lance Corporal Busby, had loosened his belt. The holster with a pistol in it was resting on a chair under the table beside him. It was only a matter of seconds for Bell to remove the pistol from the holster. There was no lanyard running from the gun to the Lance Corporal's shoulder. If there had been, 2 innocent lives might have been saved. That pistol was to fire the 2 bullets that may be seen today in the Black Museum. Joseph Bell and Nicholas Green, armed, frightened that the soldier would discover the loss of the pistol quickly and raise the alarm. Why did Bell steal the weapon? Why, 2 years before, had he taken the farmer's shotgun? To kill. Now, as his running feet carry him through the darkened streets of London, with a roar of exploding and flying bombs always in the next block, he doesn't know what he's going to do. He doesn't know that very soon he is going to kill. Not a cat this time, but a man.
Well, we got away. That was a good story about Percy and the kids, Joe. You've got some imagination, you have. I decided to get the pistol before we sat down, even if it meant following that bloke outside and crushing him. What are you going to do with it? Well, what do you think? Don't you feel good knowing I've got it? Yeah, it might come in handy. Yeah, the engine of the boat bomb's cut. Blimey, it's coming this way. Come in here, you boys. No, let me take your hands off me. No, don't be silly. Come in. Let me go. Do you hear? Nonsense, boy. All right, you asked for it. Go!
Bell fired at the precise moment when the bomb exploded. This time the explosion wasn't quite in that next block. The warden, it was an air raid warden named Thompson, who had tried to drag Joseph Bell into a shelter. The warden fell dead, with a bullet in his heart and a piece of shrapnel in his chest. The shrapnel alone would not have been fatal, and by the strange way of things, the murderers were unharmed.
Quick, we got to get away. This is nothing to do with me. You shot him. You're just as much in it as I am, and you know it. Come on, before the ambulance gets here. Oh, I'm scared. Don't worry, they can't hang you at 16. Now save your breath and keep going.
Keep going, boys. You're going to keep going and keep going until you've used the second bullet. And you'll stop. Forever.
I've got to slow down. Okay. But I wish you wouldn't get in a panic. You almost get me worried, too. Aren't you worried, Joe? What about? Why, the stiff back there. Him? I'm not worried about him. They'll think he was killed by the bomb. There was blood all over him. Oh, cool off, Nick. You're a man now, and there's a war on.
You're too young to know that air raid victims still have a death certificate. The doctor is going to find that bullet in Thompson's heart, just as the next one is going to be found.
Joe, I'm going home. It's early yet. I know, but I'm still going home. I've had it for tonight. Okay. Here, you won't say a word to anybody, will you? Well, what do you think I am? Barmy? Ah, you'll do, Nick. Just you keep your mouth shut. Now, we'll be all right. See you tomorrow. Sleep well.
Green slept far from well. If we can believe what he said later, he never slept well for the rest of his life. But what about that home he was talking about? What sort of parents had he got? His father died and the boy was fine. When he went home to his mother.
Oh, it's you. I thought it was the warden come to tell me I was showing a light. What's the matter with you? Where have you been to?
I've been out with Joe.
You've been up to something, haven't you?
Stop asking damn fool questions or I'll break your neck. Go and put the kettle on. I'm as dry as a bone.
Now you see, Nicholas Green, coward and murderer, was the master in his mother's house. And what about his partner in crime? Joseph Bell had no parents. They were killed in the Blitz in 1940. He had an uncle who pledged himself guardian to the boy. But Uncle preferred blondes, rather tatty blondes. So now into the final phase. 1947. The hot war is over. The Cold War is only just beginning. There's work for everybody in London, but not the sort of work which appeals to Bell and Green. They're still together and they're 19 years of age. Old enough to be hanged.
I've had enough of this dance. Let's get out. Okay. That's better. Now sit down. What's on your mind, Joe? We're going to do a proper job. Well, we've been doing all right, haven't we? Working the races, little black market deals, skipping up the back stairs in hotels to knock off a brush and comb set or an electric razor. That's small time. Well, what's the grift this time? I'll tell you. There's a warehouse just off the commercial road. It's in Derby Street. Caravinos. You know it? Yeah. Well, then listen.
Caravinos in Derby Street. We're almost at the end of the path now, boys. Caravino's warehouse is packed with furs. All nice and snug in cold storage. They're beautiful furs, worth a lot of money. Quite a temptation to the criminal who thinks he can get away with some of them. But can he get away? What about the caretaker?
He's the only one we got to worry about, Nick. But I've been watching the place, and every night, regular as clockwork, at 9:30, he slips out of the side door and trots round to the pub. Which one? The King's Head. He collects a quart of beer and takes it back to the warehouse in a bottle. I suppose that lot helps him to pass the rest of the evening. Ah, maybe, but he ain't going to drink it tonight. We got him when he gets back with the bottle, is that it? Yeah. And we don't cosh him until he's opened the side door. We wait till he lets us in, like. That's the idea. Then, when we've coshed him, we pull him inside, close the door, and help ourselves. How do we get the stuff away, Joe? Ah, it's a good job you got me to do the thinking for you. Do you know Cork Street? Yeah, it leads out to Derby Street. Well, there's a greengrocer's shop. Every evening, the owner parks his van outside and leaves it there till he goes to Covent Garden Market in the morning. Well, I've given the van a once-over, and here's the key that fits the ignition. You got it all worked out, Joe. But what do we do with the furs when we've got him? Ah, fix that too. I've got a fence who specialises in furs, and he's not known, see? That sounds fine. It is fine. Now, come on. We'll pick up the van to start with.
Yes, Bell had thought of everything, or rather, almost everything. It was child's play, picking up the van. The owner was in the habit of retiring early in order to be up to catch the morning market. While he slept peacefully in a room over the back of the shop, Bell and Green pushed the van 50 yards down the street. It was all done very quietly. The time was 9:29.
Okay, in we get. I'll drive. Aren't you going down Derby Street, Joe? No, not yet. I'm taking you to the King's Head. Oh, we can't go in there. We're not going in. We're going to drive past and pull up. Then we keep an eye open behind and spot the caretaker when he comes out. And when he comes out? Yeah. What's the time now? 9:30. What's up with you? Seen a ghost? Yeah, I think I have.
This is not the first time your 0 hour happened to be 9:30, is it, Nicholas Green? Remember that cafe 3 years ago when your partner stole the pistol he's carrying now inside his coat? 10 minutes later, a man was killed. Remember?
It's funny, that's what it is. Darn bloomin' funny. Shut up! Pull yourself together. You haven't got the nerve to see this through. Tell me now and get out. I'll do it myself. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm okay. I started thinking, that's all. Leave that thinking to me. Here's the pub. I can see the door to the bar through the driving mirror. And here he comes. Dead on time, as per usual. Luck's in.
The caretaker from the warehouse disappears into the bar. The watchers don't have long to wait. He comes out with his bottle of beer and trudges back through the shadows towards his lonely post. He turns into Derby Street and approaches the tall, dark building of Carabinos. So alive by day, so very silent by night.
Oh, don't say I've shut myself out. No good, easy key.
Excuse me, chum. I want to get to Tower Bridge.
Oh, that's easy. Straight to the end, turn left, right, and left again, and you come into Wapping High Street.
Yeah, I'm a stranger around here, but, look, I've got a map. If you could point it out to me.
Well, you'll find it all right. Good night.
No, you don't.
It goes back.
I'll drag him in and open the gate to the yard. Now, drive the van in quick, okay?
Everything's working according to plan, isn't it, boys? You've thought of everything, almost everything. You wouldn't know about that little electric contact you break as you open the door to the cold room where the mink furs are stored. You wouldn't know that it causes an alarm call to be piped through to the information room in Scotland Yard. And you wouldn't know that even before you could get that first load of furs down to the van, the net is closing in. A police car's on a patrol, on the commercial road less than 2 minutes away. It receives the message which marks the end of your short path.
Hello, 9G. Hello, 9G. Intruders believed to have entered Carabino's fur warehouse, Derby Street. Over.
9G answering. Message understood. Proceeding immediately.
I wonder.
I shouldn't think so. I've had 22 years in the force, and I never had the luck to get onto a real job yet.
You should worry, Tommy boy. You're retiring next month.
Think of that nice little pension you're going to get. You're going to sit back and grow more prize lupins for the rest of your life.
But PC, Tom Wallace, was never to draw his pension, and he was never to grow any more prize lupins. This was the first real job he had waited 22 years for. He'd always known what he would do. He'd approach quietly, turn off the car engine before he got to the scene of the incident, and tread lightly. He'd make sure his brother officers followed his example. He wasn't going to fall down on his first real job. And somehow he knew this was it.
Quiet. Is the door locked?
Yes, but look down there.
Oh, blood. Try the gate.
It's open.
We'll go back to the car and signal for reinforcements. Pete, George, and he's going in.
Nick, take that load out to the van. I'll go back for some more.
Okay, Joe. Make it quick. The sooner we're away, the better I'll like it.
All right, son. The game's up.
Coppers! Let me go!
There's the freakers on you. How many more up there?
Find out.
Don't worry, we will. Come on, George. I can see a light through the door.
Get back, you dirty old son of a gun!
Drop it, you young fool!
Let him have it, Joe!
Drop it!
Look out, Joe, where you're going. The lift shaft behind you.
Joseph Bell survived his 20-foot fall. Police Constable Tom Wallace was dead. The bullet that was removed from his brain was placed beside the bullet that had killed the warden 3 years earlier.
It is established beyond doubt that the bullets were fired from the same weapon.
And today, they can both be seen side by side in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment.
Bell and Green were tried and convicted of the murder of Constable Tom Wallace. The second charge of murder was never preferred, but Warden Thompson was avenged when the two men found the end of the path they had followed by their own free will. It finished on the gallows at 8 o'clock on a gray, misty morning. There were some who said that Green should not have died. He didn't fire the shot that killed the policeman. But was he indeed the weaker member of the grim partnership? The reconstruction of events you have heard was based on his confessions. But the fact remains, he knew Bell had a loaded pistol, and neither he nor his companion could outwit the machinery of Scotland Yard. So another chapter of murder was closed, and the bullet that killed Thompson lies beside the bullet that killed Wallace in the Black Museum. And now, until we meet next time in the same place and I tell you another story about the Black Museum, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler, written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan, and starring tonight two of radio's outstanding personalities, Frank Reddick and Jan Miner, in an original play titled Death Has a Cold Breath.
This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little as we discover that death has a cold breath. Your name is Andy Marlowe. Once you were a very successful publicity agent. But this morning, as you slouch behind your big mahogany desk, you feel terrible. You're nursing a hangover. You're worrying about the IOUs you've been passing out the last few months to certain rather tough individuals who run gambling houses. You're slipping fast. Your bankroll is gone. Your girl Julie, who's just as hard and beautiful as the diamond she loves to wear, is looking for greener pastures, and you're on the skids. Unless you come up with a smart idea. You stare at your appointment pad with bleary eyes. The first name on it is Harold Farrington. Harold Farrington, the matinee idol of 20 years back. Now he's a has-been ham. You almost tell your assistant to send him away, but you change your mind and have him sent in.
Andy, old boy, you're looking splendid. I just got back from Florida. Thought I'd drop in and say hello.
Sit down, Harold, and cut out the hot air. You haven't the price of a trip to South Jersey, much less Florida, and I know it.
Always bluff and direct, Andy. That's what I like about you. Yes, it's embarrassing to admit it, but I am financially substandard at the moment.
If it's a touch, Harold, the answer is no.
I wouldn't dream of asking you for a loan, Andy. I want to retain you, to enlist your services to put me once again on the front pages. Remember 6 months ago, you dreamed up that idea of a national theater that I hoped to found? That got me nice headlines, Andy.
Yes, but you didn't get a job out of it. I'm going to be frank with you, Harold.
Of course, old man, of course.
The only way you'll ever work on Broadway again is to get a job in the street cleaning department.
Andy, but I know you're only joking. Just remind the public of me and the women will clamor to see me again. I've always had success with the women, you know.
The answer is no. I like to get paid for my services.
But you will, Andy. 6 months ago, for your last campaign, I made you sole beneficiary in my will. You'll collect when I die.
Sole beneficiary in your will. What a laugh. To think I fell for your line about having trust funds that would pay off when you died. I checked up later. You don't even own a spare suit of clothes.
I admit I exaggerated. I confess
Oh,
it.
that's mighty white of you.
However, this might interest you. A letter that was forwarded to me last week. Read what it says.
6 pages in a woman's handwriting, reeking with gardenia perfume. Phooey.
It's from a wealthy widow in Boston. 25 years ago, she was an admirer of mine. Her name is Abby Wilson, Mrs. Abby Wilson, and she's worth $500,000.
Harold, you bore me. So does Mrs. Abby Wilson. Now get to the point, will you?
I am, Andy. She's ill, slowly dying. And having read about my plan to start a theater, which I would run in the interest of a free, untrammeled stage, she decided to make the dream possible by leaving me all her money when she dies. Now, don't you see, Andy, that will of mine is now worth something. When Mrs. Abby Wilson dies, I'm a rich man.
Pipe dreams, Harold. She's probably a crackpot in an old lady's home. And to show you what I think of your will, in which I'm sole beneficiary, let's see, it ought to be in this drawer here. Yeah, here it is. Now, watch, Harold. There's your precious will where it belongs, in the wastebasket. Now, get out of here, you old has-been. I'm busy.
Your exasperation finally has gotten the better of you, Andy. You kick Harold Farrington out. Then, feeling worse than ever, you slump in your chair again. You're still slouched there half an hour later when the telephone rings.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Oh, hello, Julie.
My, the Wonder Boy sounds as if he had a hangover this morning.
No, I'm all right. Just catching a little cold, that's all.
Oh, then you'll probably be glad to have me break our date for tonight.
Break our date?
Yes. I won't be able to make it tonight, Andy. So sorry.
Why won't you be able to make it? I've had those tickets for weeks.
I'm flying out to the coast at midnight, sweetheart. Bill Wentworth is throwing a really big house party, and then a cruise on his yacht afterwards.
What?
He phoned last night to invite me, and I accepted.
Julie, you can't walk out on me like this. Just because Wentworth has money.
And you have charm, Andy. But the charm's been wearing a little thin lately. And so has your bankroll. So goodbye, darling. See you around.
Julie, wait. Hard-boiled little gold diggers. I'll get another bankroll somehow. Then she'll come running back. I know Julie.
For a moment, Andy, you daydream about being rich again. But you're rudely interrupted by the sound of an argument outside and your office door opens.
Hello, Marlowe. Your office boy didn't want to let me in, but I persuaded him I had business with you.
Oh, hello, Rocky. I'm glad you dropped in.
Yeah.
I've been planning to get in touch with you. I've got a big deal in the fire. Yeah, going to get a big fee out of it.
Well, I hope you do, Andy, for your sake.
So, Rocky, I just wanted to ask you if you could just wait a few days on those IOUs. I'll really be flush.
Oh, nobody ever said Rocky Smith wasn't a reasonable man. What's your idea of a few days?
Well, naturally, I don't get my fee until my client begins to see himself in the headlines, so... Well, how about 60 days, Rocky?
Huh. Because I never got past the 8th grade, Marlowe. But 60 seems to me considerably more than a few. I'll let you have 3 days. And that's all.
When he's gone, you hastily pour yourself a drink, Andy. Just then your telephone rings. You let it ring. What can it be but more bad news? Finally, the ringing gets on your nerves. You answer it.
Hello?
Hello, is this Mr. Andrew Marlowe?
Yes, this is Marlowe speaking.
Well, my name is Phelps, Mr. Marlowe. I'm calling from Boston.
Yes, Mr. Phelps.
Well, Mr. Marlowe, I'm very anxious to contact Mr. Harold Farrington. I believe he's a client of yours.
Well, you could call it that. Yeah, he was here. Left about half an hour ago.
Oh, well, can you possibly locate him for me, Mr. Marlowe? It's rather important. You see, I represent the estate of the late Mrs. Abby Wilson. I'm anxious...
Wait a minute. Did you say the estate of the late Mrs. Abby Wilson?
Well, yes, Mr. Marlowe. Mrs. Wilson died day before yesterday. And it appears that her new will leaves everything she owns to Mr. Farrington. I believe she was once an admirer of his.
Oh, yes. I know all about that, Mr. Phelps. I'll tell you, I'll locate Harold for you. You just leave it to me.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, Mr. Marlowe. I'd like him here for the probating of the will. Of course, as soon as the news gets out...
He goes on talking, but you're not listening, Andy. Your mind is working like lightning now. So that crazy story of Harold's about a rich widow leaving him everything was true. Like a fool, you tore up Harold's will, making you his heir. There must be some way to save the situation. Then it comes to you. The whole plan is one brilliant inspiration. You interrupt the lawyer.
Oh, Mr. Phelps, excuse me, please.
But... Yes, Mr. Marlowe?
If you let me handle all the publicity, I can keep it dignified and still make it a valuable asset to Mr. Farrington's plan.
Oh, yes, I can understand that.
Now, if you'll see to it that nobody else hears about this until you and me and Mr. Farrington can get together...
Why, I think that can be managed, Mr. Marlowe.
Good. Then I'm going to hang up now and find Farrington. And when I do, I'll phone you. So, goodbye for now, Mr. Phelps.
You hang up and snatch that torn-up will from the wastebasket. Carefully, you paste the torn will together with Scotch tape. Then you set out to find Harold Farrington. You try his rooming house first.
No, Mr. Farrington ain't in. I don't know where he is, and I don't care. Unless he comes back with the $35,000 rent he owes me. You might try Tim O'Sullivan's saloon round the corner. That's where he usually hangs out.
You hurry to the corner saloon, but the actor's not there. Desperately perspiring in your anxiety, you try all the other local saloons. At last you find him. In a corner table in the cheapest bar of them all. You can see he's almost pie-eyed.
Merely, this is my good old friend Andy. Have a drink. It's not good liquor, but it's cheap. That's his great recommendation. It's cheap.
Yes, I'm sorry, Harold. I can't drink now. I've hunted you up to apologize. I was only joking this morning. I am going to put on a campaign for you. I'm going to get your name in all the papers.
Well, that's mighty fine, Andy. Calls for a celebration. Waiter, 2 more.
You sit down, Andy, controlling your impatience. You bring out the damaged will and get Harold to initial each torn section. Then you tell him about your publicity scheme for him. He's to disappear, you explain, after threatening to kill himself.
Threatened to kill myself, man. To die to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, and there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. Shakespeare, Andy. All right, sounds like a good scheme. I'll cooperate.
Your plan is working, Andy. Working beautifully. You get Harold Farrington into the phone booth. You phone Ross of the Daily Ledger, and Farrington talks to him.
Hello, Ross. This is Harold Farrington. Just wanted to tell you I'm going to play a big role soon in The Tragedy of Man. I'm going to play the corpse. What am I talking about? I'm just trying to tell you, old boy, the time has come to ring down the curtain. Going to end the little drama of Harold Farrington. Hello. Andy, how do you like that? He said I was drunk, and he hung up.
Yes, your scheme is working beautifully. You have Harold Farrington phone all the critics and tell them he's going to kill himself. But then Farrington collapses. Desperately, you realize you have to have help. You telephone Julie. You persuade her to bring her car and meet you. You show her the will. Tell her about Mrs. Abby Wilson.
Surely, Julie, you understand. If this will is legal, I'll come at $500,000 soon.
I understand that, darling. But just how are you going to collect? I mean, suppose dear Harold decides to stay alive and then changes his will.
He won't. I mean, how long can he live drinking as he does? He's on his last legs.
You mean you'll keep him supplied with free liquor until he obligingly drinks himself to death, Andy dear?
Yes, something like that. I haven't time to tell you the details now, but somebody has to get Harold to my cabin up in the woods and keep him hidden there. That's your job, Julie. Get him there, keep him there, and don't let anybody know he is there. Darling, for both our sakes, say you'll do it.
Well, it means missing Bill Wentworth's party, but all right, I'll do it. Only, Andy, darling, this scheme of yours had better pay off.
So that's taken care of. Julie starts off for your secluded cabin in the mountains with Harold Farrington. You promise to join her the following night. The next morning, you get busy on the phone, ostensibly trying to trace Farrington. Among others, you call your old friend, the theatrical critic, Paul Milton.
Yes, Paul, I am worried about Harold Farrington. It's no gag. I know he called you yesterday and threatened to commit suicide, and I think he meant it. I'm really worried about him. Okay, I'll keep looking. See you soon, Paul. We'll have a drink together.
Paul Milton's skepticism is typical, and it's just what you want. Last of all, you call another old friend, Captain Harry Banning, in the Bureau of Missing Persons.
Oh, now, Harry, I'm not trying to drum up a story. Farrington really is missing. I want you to put out a missing persons notice now. Well, if that's the way you feel about it, I'll have to find him without any help from the police.
You hang up, and you're pleased, Andy. Very pleased. That evening, you catch the train for the little town of Ridge Gap, where your cabin is located. At the Ridge Gap station, you slip away into the darkness without being noticed. It's bitterly cold, but you walk the 2 miles to your cabin. There you find Julie and Harold Farrington having a drink in the living room. After the necessary greetings, you waste no time in getting down to business.
Well, kids, we're rolling. The editors are beginning to believe in your suicide, Harold.
Andy, I'm not so sure that the suicide is a good publicity angle. The more I think about it...
Of course it's a good angle. Isn't it, Julie?
Why, of course it is, Harold. Why, it'll get the critics to writing long, appreciative articles about you. The kinds of thing the producers all notice.
Well, maybe, but I still think...
Harold, you hired me to do the thinking. Now, listen. You write me a long letter of farewell. Understand?
A letter of farewell. Well, I could do that with the quotations from my great plays, Macbeth, Hamlet.
That's it, Harold?
Yes. I'll take the letter back to New York with me. I'll call all the critics. I'll get a couple of them to rush up here with me. Now, just before we get here, you take 1 sleeping tablet. Then pretend to be unable to wake until we've worked over you for at least half an hour. You got it?
Yes, of course. I could do that.
Look, absolutely on the level. Tomorrow evening, your name will be headlines from coast to coast.
Well, if you're sure, Andy.
I'm positive. Now, sit down at my desk and start writing that suicide note. And be sure to apologize to me for using my cabin. You understand, Harold?
You leave Harold Farrington busy writing the suicide letter. You take Julie into the next room to tell her the rest of your plan.
And as soon as he finishes that letter, Harold's going to die. You understand that, don't you, Julie?
Die? Andy, you didn't say anything about that when you sent me up here with him. I'm not going to have anything to do with murder.
Harold will drink himself to death in another 6 months. What difference does it make if he goes now? It means $500,000 to us, me and you. It's perfectly safe. By now, half New York knows Harold was threatening to kill himself.
You go on
Marry
talking,
you.
persuading
You're
her.
rich.
And when you want to be, you can be very, very persuasive.
Maybe a few hours.
At last, Julie gives in to your scheme.
All right, Andy, I'll do it. But let's get it over with quickly.
You go back into the living room. Harold has finished writing his farewell to you and the world, and he's reading it aloud with great self-appreciation.
Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Oh, there you are, Andy. Listen, I think this is rather good.
He begins at the beginning and reads the whole letter to you. It's what you want, exactly. As he reads, you busy yourself fixing him a drink. And into the drink, you pour the contents of a small bottle. Harold Farrington finishes his letter and waits for your applause.
That's splendid, Harold. Simply terrific.
It nearly made me cry, just listening to it.
I think without undue modesty, one could say it's good theater. Oh, is that a drink for me, Andy?
Well, it isn't for anybody else, Harold.
Thank you. I've earned this drink. Well, bottoms up.
He drinks, and in 5 minutes, it's all over. For one last instant, he stares at you accusingly, then his eyes close, and he falls forward on the desk.
He's dead. Perfect, Julie. Couldn't have worked out better.
Oh, now what, Andy? Back to New York and come find him tomorrow or the next day?
No. It's all going to be settled tonight.
Tonight?
Yes. The very special reason why. I owe some money. But tomorrow I've got to be able to prove I can pay it from the inheritance. Now, we're going to drive to Ridge Gap, have dinner, and pretend we're on our way up here from New York. Then we arrive here, find Harold dead, and phone the sheriff. That's all there is to it.
Andy, now wait a minute.
What is it?
What time is Harold supposed to have died?
Well, sometime last night when I was in New York.
That's impossible. In his body. It'll still be warm when the sheriff gets here. The sheriff will know that Harold must have died this evening.
Yeah. But that's right. I forgot that. I can't wait till tomorrow. Just can't. I got it.
What?
It's cold out. Only about 15 above zero.
Yeah.
We'll put Harold out on the terrace, chair and all, for half an hour. And then he'll be cold, plenty cold. It'll seem as if he died hours ago.
Swiftly, you and Julie lift the chair in which Harold Farrington sits. You carry it out on the terrace in the bitterly cold wind. There you leave Harold to cool a bit. Back in the house, you set everything straight, remove all evidence of Julie's having been there. You wait half an hour, 45 minutes. Then you carry Harold back in, chair and all, and pose him properly in front of the desk where his touching suicide note waits. The picture is perfect.
Cold enough now. Feel his forehead.
It's like ice.
Yeah. That's because he died last night, my dear. Now let's go. We'll have dinner at the village, make sure we're seen, then come up here and discover Harold.
Your program goes off without a hitch, Andy. In the village of Ridge Gap, you make sure witnesses see you eating. You tell the waitress you're just on your way to the cabin. Then you drive up and find poor Harold's body. In half an hour, the sheriff is there with the coroner. The sheriff looks around, listens to your story, reads the letter Harold so obligingly wrote, and nods.
Yep. Certainly is a plain enough story, Mr. Marlowe. Poor fella, down on his luck, decided to end it all. You say you gave him a key to this cabin 6 months ago?
Yes, that's right, Sheriff. 6 months ago, I did a publicity campaign for him, and we used to come up here to work out our plans. I gave him a key then, and he kept it.
And poor Harold crept here to die in hiding.
That's how it goes. Well, I guess there's no use our hanging around any longer. Poor fella's stone cold. Means he died last night or this morning, I guess. Well, Doc, let's phone Williams, the undertaker, and get this over with.
I guess we better wait a mite before we call the undertaker, Sheriff.
Wait? What for?
There's something a bit peculiar here.
Peculiar? Well, what do you mean, Doc?
Feel this fellow's forehead. Mighty cold, isn't it?
That's right. Cold as ice. Shows he's been dead quite some time.
Yes, everybody knows that. It's in every detective story. His forehead was as cold as ice. Wish I had $1 for each time I've read that.
Yes, but I'm afraid you don't get my point. You see, a dead body can only cool off to the temperature of the room it's in.
Oh, well, what are you getting at?
Just this. I took the temperature of this suicide. His body temperature's only 45 degrees.
45 degrees?
That's right.
Well, how could that be, Doc? This room is 70 degrees. It ain't possible.
Andy.
Be quiet, Jimmy.
You're right, Sheriff. It isn't possible. Unless this suicide walked outdoors and practically froze himself. He came back in, sat down, and waited for us. And I don't think he did.
What you're saying, Doc, is, it's not suicide. It's murder. And I reckon we got the murderers right here in this room with us. Well, folks, how about it?
This is the mysterious traveler again. Dear me, it's a cold wind that blows nobody good, isn't it? Yes, Andy and Julie were persuaded to confess. It wasn't hard to get a confession, since each rushed in to blame the other. Such a clever scheme, too. Not a flaw in it. Only Andy hadn't been in such a hurry to cool the corpse off. The moral is, never rush a corpse and let it take its own time, even if it kills you. Oh, that reminds me of next week's story, The Hot Seat. It's about a dim-witted fellow with but one thing in mind, revenge. However, his weapon was not the knife, gun, or poison. It was... Oh, you'll have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. The role of the mysterious traveler is played by Maurice Tarplin. This is Jack Farron speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Sunrise and sunset, promise and fulfillment, birth and death. The whole drama of life is written in the sands of time. We present a new series of radio programs, The Clock.
Have you ever seen a one-eyed cat? I saw one once, and its skin was the color of polished ebony. It was owned by a man named Wake, a quiet and gentle old soul who lived far out in the country. You know, people often ask me why I'm always in a hurry, why I never stop or pause. Well, Jasper Wake has never asked this question. You see, for Jasper, time stands still.
Yes.
Oh, is Mr. Wake at home?
Do you have an appointment?
I have this letter he sent me.
Oh, yes, the practical nurse. Please come in.
Thank you.
Your name is...
Goff. Leah Goff.
I'm Mrs. Wilton, the housekeeper. I suppose you know about Mr. Wake's condition.
Well, not exactly.
Have you had any experience with paralytics?
Yes, plenty.
Poor Mr. Wake has been confined to a wheelchair for over a year now. He's unable to move from the waist down.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But don't sympathize with him. Now, if you come this way, it isn't his pride that makes him reject sympathy. He wants people to be cheerful when they're around him. He doesn't like to make them unhappy. I guess Mr. Wake is just about the nicest, kindest gentleman I've ever known. Just a moment, please. Mr. Wake.
Yes, Mrs. Wilton?
It's Miss Garth, the practical nurse who answered your advertisement.
Oh, please show her in.
This way, Miss Garth.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please sit down.
Oh, thank you.
Quiet, Flora. Cats always seem to be a little uneasy in the presence of strangers.
What's the matter with her? Why does she keep her head to one side that way, Mr. Wake?
She's blind in one eye, poor thing, and it's gotten her into quite a bit of mischief, too. As you can observe, Miss Garth, I'm unable to move out of this wheelchair.
Yes, Mrs. Wilton mentioned it to me.
Up to now, I've had a male nurse, strong young man who's been able to lift me with ease and handle me like a baby.
I have a man's strength, Mr. Wake, in my arms and shoulders.
Lewis has left me now. He's gotten married, and as I was casting about for a suitable substitute, I thought of hiring a woman. You see, I discovered I need more than mere physical strength in a nurse.
You need companionship, Mr. Wake.
Yes, that's it exactly.
I know how it is to be lonely. And I know how a constant friend can make things easier.
You seem to be able to read my mind, Miss Garth.
I have a fairly good education, Mr. Wake. Besides, I'm sensitive to my patients.
Sensitive?
I like to read to them and play for them on the piano. When I go on a case, Mr. Wake, I devote my life to it. And I'd like the chance to devote my life to you.
You're an extraordinary woman.
I don't want this position unless I can be sure I'm badly needed. I want you to feel that every minute of the day, every hour, my thoughts are only for your comfort.
Your salary...
Oh, I don't care about the salary. Oh, this home has a wonderful atmosphere. A chance to belong and be needed. That's all I ask for.
Nonsense. You'll be paid and well paid. I'm a rich man, if a helpless one.
Oh, you won't be helpless any longer, Mr. Wake. I want so to help you. Oh, I'm sorry you'll think now that I'm giving you sympathy, but it isn't that. You'll be giving me much more than I'll be giving you, Mr. Wake. I need someone to depend on me, or I can't exist.
And I need someone to depend on. I think we'll get along very well, Miss Garth.
I'm sure we will, Mr. Wake.
Oh, Laura.
Mrs. Wilton.
Oh, yes, Miss Garth. Have you been hired?
I have.
Oh, I'm so glad. It'll be nice having another woman around the house. Up to now, it's just been Mr. Wake and me since Lewis left. Oh, I'd better fill you in on the routine. Mr. Wake dines at 7, while you and I will eat at 6, and that gives us time.
I dine at 7 myself, Mrs. Wilton.
Oh, I see. Well, I suppose I can change my hours.
There'll be no need for that.
What?
Mr. Wake and I will dine together. You'll eat by yourself, as usual. Oh, you have a beautiful garden, Mr. Wake.
And you seem to know a great deal about flowers, Miss Garth.
I've always loved delicate and gentle things.
Yes, you're a gentle person. A very gentle person. And I'm glad you're here.
Mrs. Wilton?
What is it, Miss Garth?
I left my shoes in the hall this morning. Did you see them?
Yes.
Then why weren't they polished?
Miss Garth, I think it's about time you and I came to an understanding. I'm neither a bootblack nor a chambermaid. Since you came to this house 3 weeks ago, you've done nothing but order me around. And I'm getting just a little tired of you.
Perhaps that will put you in your place.
I'm scared for that. I'll tell Mr. Wake. That's what
Oh, what?
Oh, my arm. You're breaking it. Oh, please, please.
I could wrench your arm out of its socket with a twist of my hand, Mrs. Wilton, and I assure you that if you annoy me again, I'll do just that.
Oh, please let me go.
My shoes are still in the hall. I want them polished within the hour. Do you understand?
Easily, please don't hurt me. Oh, don't hurt me.
I've brought your milk, Mr. Wake.
You're very sweet to think of it, Miss Garth.
Now you finish it. Come on, every drop. It's good for you.
That seems to be your only concern. The things that are good for me.
Have you been happy since I've come?
These past 2 months have been wonderful. I've never known anyone as kind or as self-sacrificing as you. And I've never felt so contented.
Oh. I want you to know, sir, that... Well, it isn't because you pay me.
Of course not. I would never suggest such a thing.
It's just that... Well, you have no one else, and I have no one else. We seem to give each other a great deal of strength and understanding.
You've even made me forget my affliction. Even though Flora here keeps reminding me of it.
You seem to have such a great affection for that cat, Mr. Wake. You keep her on your lap almost all the time.
Poor Flora is rather handicapped with one eye, and she has a habit of running between people's legs when they walk. I hold her on my lap to keep her out of mischief. You see, she's already caused her quota of trouble with me.
With you?
A little over a year ago, as I was walking across my room, Flora ran between my feet. I tripped and broke my back.
You mean she caused your paralysis?
Indirectly, yes.
And you still keep her?
It wasn't Flora's fault that she couldn't see too well. Besides, I have a great capacity for pity and forgiveness, as you do, Miss Garth.
Mr. Wake.
Oh, what is it, Mrs. Wilton?
I've been trying to see you alone for quite a while now. But Miss Garth hasn't given me the chance.
I'm afraid I don't understand, Mrs. Wilson.
Why are you so nervous, Mrs. Wilton? What's the trouble?
Mr. Wake, I'm leaving.
Leaving? You mean leaving my employ?
Yes.
But why? What?
I refuse to stay here with that woman.
Are you referring to Miss Garth?
I'm sorry that I can't give you notice. I'm going tonight. And if you want to know the reason, I'll tell it to you. Alone. In the library.
What is all this, Miss Garth?
Oh, Mr. Wake, I'm so sorry it had to come up this way. I didn't want to tell you because I knew how fond you are of Mrs. Wilton. And, well, I was almost sure she'd never do it again.
Do what again?
Steal from you.
No.
I prayed that I wouldn't have to tell you.
But what has she stolen, and how do you know this?
That picture of your dead wife was in a solid gold frame. If you remember, Mrs. Wilton told you the picture was missing, that it had been misplaced. Well, she stole that picture. For the frame.
I can't believe it.
She's stolen several other things. Your tie pin, your diamond cufflinks. Oh, you thought you'd lost them, but I knew. Mrs. Wilton realizes that I know, and she's trying to brazen it out. She hopes that you'll get rid of me instead.
But Harriet Wilton was a trusted friend. How could
she... The thing she stole, Mr. Wake, are in her room. I'm sorry to have to do it this way, but your security means more to me than sentiment. And I'm going to prove what I say right now. I'll go to her room.
I would like to speak to you alone, Mr. Wake.
There'll be no need for an explanation, Mrs. Wilton.
What do you mean?
I found these in your room.
I don't understand.
Because of the many years of faithful service you've given me in the past, I won't inform the police. But I want you to take your things and leave this house immediately.
She made this up. She did this just to get rid of me.
Mrs. Wilton, I want you to leave now, without any further discussion.
Very well, Mr. Wake. But heaven help you when you're all alone with her.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Garth.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Wake. I've forgiven her, as you have, for everything.
I'll hire another housekeeper in the morning.
That won't be necessary.
No?
You won't need anyone else from now on, Mr. Wake. But me.
A cat has 9 lives, according to the experts, and the 4-legged creatures can afford a risk or 2. But man has only 1, and when he finds that one in jeopardy, each minute becomes more precious than the next, and each hour is spent in staving off his doom. I'm afraid I've become a little worried, Miss Garth.
Worried? About what?
I just haven't heard from anyone in so long. I used to receive an occasional visit from my friends in the city, but now
Aren't you lonely, Mr. Wake? With me?
Oh, it's not that, Leah.
Leah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, please. I've been wanting you to call me Leah ever since I came.
Well, you sent those letters I wrote.
Yesterday.
I don't know why the others were never answered.
Perhaps your friends don't want to be bothered.
How do you mean?
No one is cheered by an invalid.
An invalid? You've never referred to me that way before.
I just want you to know, Jasper, that I'm the only one you can depend on. I'm the only one in the world who really loves you.
Leah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been holding that back for so long I shouldn't have said it.
Leah, you've been a good friend to me and a great help, but I don't want you to go too far in your own imagination.
You mean you don't share my affection?
I admire you greatly, and there's nothing in the world I wouldn't do for you. But love, well, I'm afraid I'm just a little too old for that sort of thing.
I see.
Please don't be hurt.
Oh, no, I think I understand.
Do you know, I've just had an idea. I think we'll have a little party this weekend.
A party?
I'll invite some friends, old cronies. It's really been rather dull around the house in the last few weeks. I feel the need of a little company. Male company, I mean. No reflections on you, my dear.
But you've written to your friends and they haven't answered.
Lazy cusses. But I'll fool them. I'll call them personally. It's odd I didn't think of that before. May I have that phone, please?
Very well.
Let's see. I'll call my attorney first. An excellent fellow, John Hanley. You'll like him. Funny. Operator doesn't answer. Hello? Hello?
Jasper.
Yeah?
The phone is out of order.
Out of... Since when?
It's been out of order for quite a while now.
Why didn't you mention it to me?
I didn't think it was necessary.
Not necessary. To be without a phone all the way out here, why, it's our only communication with the outside world.
I know.
What do you mean, you know?
I don't want you to communicate with anyone, Jasper. I want you all to myself.
Don't you think you're being a bit silly, Leah?
Just you and I, in this lonely house. It's all I've ever wanted, Jasper.
Now, look here. Let's stop this nonsense and get that phone fixed. Come along. We'll take the car and drive into town. We'll get a phone mechanic up here in no time at all. Now, what did I do with my car keys?
I have them, Jasper.
Oh, well, Leah,
Yes?
did you say you mailed those letters I wrote yesterday?
Yes.
Then what are they doing in my desk?
I was going to destroy them after I'd read them. I haven't had the chance to yet. But it doesn't matter.
Oh, never mind the letters. If you're taking me into town right now...
No, Jasper.
I demand that you drive me in, Leah.
You are never leaving here, Jasper. And neither am I. I'll prepare your dinner.
What is it?
Why, you haven't finished your dinner, Jasper.
I'm not hungry.
You've hardly eaten in the past few days. You know, that isn't nice.
Leah, for heaven's sake, tell me what this is all about. Why are you keeping me a prisoner here? What have I done to deserve this?
I love you, Jasper.
I don't believe it.
I was hoping one day we'd marry.
You must be out of your mind. Do you think for 1 second that I'd marry you? Is that your game? Are you after my money?
Frankly, Jasper, you're making it more difficult for me.
I warn you, Leah.
I love you so, but you won't reciprocate. Well, perhaps you'll do something else. Perhaps you'll sign this paper for me.
What's printed on that paper?
Your will. And you leave everything to me.
My will? Now I know you're crazy.
Jasper.
Do you think I can't see through your hideous scheme? Do you think I'm a child? Why, you may be fiend enough to kill me if I sign that paper.
And I'll kill you, Jasper. If you don't.
Time moves on relentlessly for Jasper Wake. Like all of us, he cannot stop it, regardless of what the next few minutes hold for him. Where are you taking me, Leah?
We're going for a walk in the garden.
I hate the garden. I hate everything in it.
Why, Jasper? Because I love it so.
You'll live and die in this house, Leah, before you get me to sign that will.
Oh, you're so stubborn, Jasper.
You'll see how stubborn I can be after a while.
I don't intend to wait much longer.
No?
As a matter of fact, I'm giving you just 24 hours to make up your mind.
And if I refuse?
You won't refuse, Jasper.
We'll see about that.
Tomorrow at 6, you'll sign that will.
Never. Wait a minute. Stop this chair.
I intended to stop right here.
So, as a last cheap trick, you've destroyed my garden, too.
I haven't destroyed it, Jasper.
You've been digging holes in it.
Just one pitch was all I dug. Look at it closely, Jasper. It's long and it's deep. What does it remind you of?
No.
Yes, Jasper. And I dug it just for you. Don't you intend to eat lunch, Jasper?
Get out and leave me alone.
Oh, you're so irritable today. Why, that filthy little beast out...
Keep away from her, Leah.
It's treat that cat as if it was human.
Compared to you, it is human.
You know, I feel sorry for Thor.
Do you?
It's unfair to allow a cat like that to suffer.
Leah, if you dare lay one finger on Thor...
One finger would be enough to take care of its other eye.
You're not a woman. You're a female horror. Get out of my sight. Get out and leave me alone.
Yes, it's 2 o'clock, Jasper. The will is on your desk. I'll be back at 6 with a fountain pen. Well, Jasper?
You're right on time, aren't you?
Have you made up your mind?
Suppose I sign. Then what?
I'll be your devoted slave. As I've always been.
For how long?
The rest of your life. Do you see what I placed on that table, Jasper? It's a bottle of chloroform. A few drops on this wad of cotton, and you're finished. Do you want this cotton across your face?
will you let me live if I sign that will?
A bargain is a bargain.
Give me the pen.
You're very sweet, Jasper.
Flora, come back.
Never mind the cap.
There's your paper.
Thank you, Jasper.
You're going?
Not just yet.
What are you doing with that bottle?
I told you I'd be your devoted slave for the rest of your life. I neglected to mention how short a time that would be.
Yeah, I know. You're going to kill me anyway. I thought you might have one shred of pity, but you haven't.
Goodbye, Jasper.
Leah.
And thanks for everything.
Mr. Wake, open up.
Break the door down, Sheriff. I know something's happened to him.
Mr. Wake!
Mr. Wake! Mr. Wake! Where are you?
I'm over here, Mrs. Wilton. Oh, are you okay? Mrs. Wilton here said somebody might be trying to murder you for you.
I've been trying to get you on the phone, Mr. Wake, for days. Then I noticed you never came into town anymore. And
I'm quite all right, Mrs. Wilton.
That woman, where is she? She's wanted by the police.
Yes, you were right about her, Mrs. Wilton. Quite right.
Where is she? Did she get out?
No, she's in the next room, Sheriff.
In the next
But there's no hurry. She tripped over Flora here when she tried to kill me. She can't escape. She can't even move. She's paralyzed. And that is the story of Jasper Wake as recorded by Leclerc. Leah's punishment was well befitting of her crime. A coincidence? Her accident, you mean? Well, now, really, life mirrors a great number of even stranger things, and I happen to know that lightning can strike twice in the same place. I'll prove it to you sometime, if you'll join me in my perch high above that skyscraper I like to cling to, the lofty building near Madison Square. You can see the entire city from that crow's nest, and there's nothing more dramatic in the storm. So join me there some evening, and the two of us can pass a little time.
The Clock will be heard again next week, same time, same station.
The Clock is directed by John Saul, a Grace Gibson radio production.